Hey, Mr. Gilman,
Yes, sir, Doc.
big boss of boss.
Oh Lord, you know what they say now. When they praise you, they come and hit you low.
No, I can never do that. I can never hit you low. Can never
How you
hit you
doing,
low.
Doc? How you doing?
How's the day, man? How's the day?
The day is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm looking at the weathers in Liberia here, and the weather, our weather department in Miami, giving a great update on the weather in Liberia.
Yeah, it was rainy yesterday. It started raining here earlier.
Yep, it's a light rain in Monrovia. That's correct.
Yes.
Ganta is 75 degrees, 100% humidity.
Wow.
That is hot.
Yeah, but Florida is a place to be, man. Florida, that's the vacation place of America.
Now you coming?
I love the seafood, the various seafood in Florida, man. Wow. They
It's
got
all
and
right.
they have different restaurants. And people from all around the world, that way they come every year. I mean 24, 365 days in the year. That way they
That's
visit.
right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's how it is, man. So I heard you we got our homeboy today.
Yeah, the Minister of Youth and Sports, the former Minister of Youth and Sports in the
Yep.
former government of President Weah, the Honorable Dexter Zilga Wilson, my own barrow man.
Uh-oh.
He will be coming in by 5:30 in a few minutes.
Okay.
But quickly, there was some scare issue that happened at Roberts Field today.
Yep, I watched it. It was scary.
Yeah, upon the arrival of the president from Nigeria, Abuja, Nigeria, and at least finally, the management of RI have issued a statement.
Yep.
The statement reads: The management of Roberts International Airport (RIA) acknowledges the recent incident involving the private jet returning President Joseph Boyka and his entourage on Thursday. We are aware that one of the aircraft's tires burst upon landing, prompting a precautionary stop on the runway. Preliminary investigations suggest that the incident may have been caused by the poor state of our runway. Wow, they admitted that one. That's good. Specifically, the presence of potholes. We take full responsibility for the condition of our infrastructure and assure the public that we are taking immediate action to rectify the situation. The safety and security of our passengers and aircraft are our top priority. Are working diligently to repair and maintain our runway to prevent such incidents in the future. We apologize for any inconvenience this incident may have caused, particularly to the President and his delegation, as well as to other grounded aircraft and those diverted due to this incident. We are committed to improving a safe and efficient travel experience for all users of our RIA. We appreciate the professionalism and quick response of our emergency services and the aircraft's crew in ensuring the safety of all on board. We are grateful that no one was harmed during the incident. RI will continue to work tirelessly to improve its facilities and services to meet international standards. We appreciate your understanding and cooperation as we work to resolve this matter. Mr. Gilman,
Cool.
I'm happy that the RIA acknowledged the fact that they said they admitted no games there. They said uh, the incident may have been caused by the poor state of our runway, specifically the presence of potholes, and they said they take full responsibility of for the condition of our infrastructure, and assure the public that we are taking immediate look. I don't know, but for me, I'm clear with this. There's no justification to tell me that. Uh, I agree they admitted the wrong way, but at the same time, it could have been a national disaster where the president of the country, with his delegation, arriving from an ECOWAS summit for Nigeria, and the tire got busted. In fact, I was told further that, Myean, please put the video on. Let's see the video. Please put the video up. I was told that because of this incident, Kenya Airways, Air Morocco, other aircraft
Mm-hmm.
and the plane is still there, and they're sent to Ghana to get tires or whatever the case. Look, I understand they're admitting, but at the same time too, how long? How many times we have not had incident at Roberts Field? And this have continued. And I mean, take your leave. But the president, I mean, it happened to him. I praise God that the president landed safely. He and delegation landed safely. I praise God that nothing happened to President Bouakai and his delegation. But I think President Bouakai should not just let this slide. He should take immediate action about this incident, the Roberts Field. The management should answer questions about the incident, about potholes. What is potholes still doing at our runway, Mr. Gilman?
Listen.
By the way, the guest is in the background, so we're bringing in the next 5 minutes, so but we can talk a little bit.
Listen. Everything that when the president is involved, it is an international news. And with international flight being diverted, the president of the nation plane almost got into a crashed situation based on poor maintenance, potholes. You're talking about 18 months. Prior to that, the George Weah the incident, this airport had been the serious, most talked about contention in the country. This is not good for our international partners. This is not good for our international image. We've been talking about June 3rd should be a major decision about Liberia and other things on the international market, international news. And this thing happens. For those of us who like to fly, but a little jittery about flying, this does not give us confidence, King George. This is terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
look at this.
Look, it's serious. We're not taking it for a joke. Huh?
This is scary. If this happens, this can happen to the president. The president's private jet. Just imagine what would have happened if this was a 747, the real jumbo jet. What would have happened to this? I don't know what to say. It's incompetent. This is the national security issue. This is national security issue. This is serious. The president and his entire entourage were on here. And this is now going to be on the front pages of all the international papers.
Our own front page already got it.
I'm looking at it right now on front page Africa.
It says aftermath of full crash landing of the plane returning President Bouakai at the Roberts International Airport Thursday. Several, including Aska, Air Peace, Kenya Airways, and Royal Air Maroc, have been cancelled as authorities struggle to remove the plane from the runway. The plane is still on the runway, but look, in the next 24 to 48 hours, President Bouakai should take action. Something should happen. He should either. I mean, the last time I listened to the management team of RIA before this, even the Senate, they have nothing to say, and it should be being a vote of no confidence. And this should not be allowed to go unpunished. I mean, without action, the president must act now. Myean, please put the video before I bring the guests in, please. I mean, I agree. Magnus is a joke. Magnus Casella is a joke.
But
I agree.
But the Senate
of an airport, Magnus Casella, I cannot. I mean, I agree with you seriously. What in this day and time, 2025, what was they doing potholes on our own international airport? What was they doing potholes on the runway?
But blame the Senate.
Huh?
When these guys came on, they said they blame the electricity problem on some bird. And the Senate accepted that.
The last time because they say some bird did something and then you still got the people there and this. I mean, potholes still on the airport, our runway. And look, that airport should be checked every day. Check the runway every day. Check the runway. And then you have the potholes. Look, it could have been a serious national disaster today. The president delegation told them what would have happened. Then what would have happened? That bro being money? That what they would have said? The country is in national mourning. But again, the people say I cry more than the people that are affected. So I wait to see what happened with the president, what action he will take. But if the management team of our office is still there by tomorrow, then I don't know what to say. But because they said that they provided funds. Fund was provided by the government. The legislature appropriated funds for this, for the airport. But I know. Myean, it looked like Helmut saying it. Helmut Peter, he's saying it. The entire country is a joke, and you all take it as normal. Nothing in Liberia is prioritized. Nothing. My brother, I couldn't agree with you more, buddy. CFR digs, no communication from the authorities. Aviation is a global issue. Once again, everything is on the hush. So true.
I just said it. When you are making all this, I mean, can you imagine if they spent over $5 million to lobby for an empty seat and your airport?
I'm a strong supporter for that seat. So
I understand, but where the priority lies, if the president's life, if I had to take the life of the president, his delegation toward the seat, I would take the president's life any day.
Martina, I can't highlight your statement, Martina. Martina,
I can't.
Martina, get back, forget it.
I know, right?
No, I get that one. No,
but listen, Honorable George, this is all the money we are spending on legislators break, senators break, how do you call it? Farms break, agriculture break, and you cannot. The senator from Nima County, the newly elected senator, Garguah, they all just left. They just flew out of this airport to come to the Nima County Association stuff. These guys are traveling on this airport. They are being handsomely rewarded for travel. And then the very airport, this is ridiculous. This is scary.
Well, Mr. Gibman, let's bring okay, another thing again. Helmut, we'll talk about it after the minister.
The dialysis thing, yes.
It's important. We'll talk about it, Helmut. We'll talk about it. The dialysis center turning patients away. No drugs, no light. Since President Weah brought that dialysis center at JFK, he dedicated it. I don't know whether they have even done any kind of investment into it to even provide more dialysis center. I mean, if you having a kidney problem, you go Liberia, you on your own, because when dialysis, man, I beg you. But anyway,
Tomalin, do you see the amount of money they're charging per day? $115 US.
For what?
A day.
For the dialysis?
Yes.
Wow. How many person can afford that? Can my mirror in the market? Can my brand in the interior afford that?
If you're making $75 a month, how can you afford $115 times twice a week? The gentleman said he paid $260 or $230 every week. His families and friends had to raise that money from abroad and send it to him.
Wow. Well, anyway, look, we got a guest in the background, so let's when our guest leave, we'll talk about this.
We're doing in-house. That's correct.
But Martina, I will not have none of your comments. I'll be friend with you. But with all much ado, let us bring in my own dear friend and brother, this great national icon, the Honorable Dexter Zioga Wilson, the former Minister of Youth and Sports of Liberia, one time Liberia Lone Star and Muddy Barrow goalkeeper. Mr. Wilson, also the former national president of our United Basketball Association in the Americas, the UNIBOA. The man, he has worn a lot of hats. But Mr. Wilson, it's good to have you on a closing argument. The last time I saw you, I think, was when you gave us a tour of the complex, the complex, I think, at the SKD complex, last or in 2023, when he gave us the tour of all the work he did there. He did. I mean, Mr. President, when they say, President already is what they say. Tomalin, I'll be on a friend, President, but let me leave that one. But Mr. Wilson, good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Tomalin George. Nice seeing you myself, and happy to hear from my cousin-in-law Jerome Gimme.
Hey, can you please take down the picture of the airplane? We can't see his face.
Yeah.
The picture there?
Yeah, the picture's still there.
Oh, I'm seeing it. Oh, they show you a picture.
Yeah, the airplane picture is still up.
Huh? Why I can't see it?
But we can't see you either.
For you?
Nope.
Oh. But let me go and come out. So give me, then you can continue with the show. Let me adjust myself. So give me the picture still there?
Yep. Let me go out. Let me go out.
I said, let me go out too. Okay. Zuga, the picture still there?
Yeah, it's still there. Okay, go on now.
I don't know what happened.
But
But
go on now.
anyway, I'm sorry, give me come. But let get started because I don't know what happened. But Mr. Wilson, man, good to see you. How's the family? How's your health? And how's everything at your end?
Well, the family is fine. My health is fine. To God be the glory, and I'm fine by His grace.
Okay, so you back in the States now, or you still in Liberia?
I'm in the States.
Okay. Okay. Well, Mr. Wilson, man, a lot of people have been reaching out to us today and thank God you are able to agree to come on and to give some understanding about what's happening with this whole issue about the LFA headquarters and the claim by the government now that your administration as Minister you've been supposed to the government of Liberia, whatever arrangement was done with you guys and the LFA under Mustafa Raji. So, but the Liberian, listening across the world and in and out of Liberia on the radio. So I'm sure everybody, when they saw your picture, I'm sure people who are interested in this story have tuned in already. And so, for the benefit of the people, the public, we give you the opportunity to at least provide us what the whole story of what's happening with the whole issue with the LFA headquarters.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad to be on today to provide the needed clarity. In your intro, you mentioned about the government of Liberia. I don't think the government of Liberia accused the LFA of anything.
Okay.
It is a student unification party
Okay.
that wrote the LACC um, alleging some financial malpractices by the Liberia Football Association. And I must state here emphatically that the former LFA Vice President, Mr. Wilmer Smith, who was defeated in the election, is the mastermind behind the soup going after the LFA office, as well as this letter to LACC. I served as Minister of Youth and Sports from 2018 to 2024. The period honor review from the document I saw yesterday posted by Mr. Wilmer Smith in one chat room I'm in indicated that 2022 to 2023 government appropriated some money to LFA for its offices, the headquarters, the construction, as well as other operational funds. And let me state there for the record, at no time during the WEA government did we give LFA any money for its headquarters or any other operation. The only money given to LFA, the other federations, specifically for our national teams. I repeat, the government of Liberia, under President Weah, did not give LFA any money for its headquarters. Our budget, public. Anybody can go on the Ministry of Finance website, look for the Ministry of Youth and Sport approved budget, 2022, 2023. You're not going to see any budget line that says LFA headquarters. So whoever provided that information to the Student Unification Party, that all of us know these folks always in our politics, they don't delve into other things. But when you get somebody like Wilmer Smith who wants to fight Mustafa Raji, but he's not man enough to come forth, he going through the kids using their surrogates, providing them with misleading information to go after Mustafa Raji. And I will say for the third time, we did not get LFA a dime for its headquarters. The only money LFA received from the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Youth and Sport through the Ministry of Finance, money for our national teams, be it male or female. That's the fact. And I ask everybody to go on the Ministry of Finance website, look at the Ministry of Youth and Sport budget, and see whether you will see anything of that nature there for LFA for headquarters. You will not find it.
But so, what would be the motive of Mr. Smith? What is the motive?
Well, Mr. Smith is the best man to ask because ever since he was defeated, he probably got something against Mustafa. I don't know why. He considered himself a stakeholder. He considered himself former vice president. But he knows the rules. LFA is primarily supported by FIFA. The LFA headquarters was built from the fund under the FIFA Forward program. FIFA is the financial LFA, not the government of Liberia. So any audit that is done by LFA, again, the LFA carry on, FIFA does its own audit. And to the best of my knowledge, I now heard FIFA raising an issue with Mustafa Raji. In fact, when Mustafa Raji took over in 2018, Liberia was under FIFA sanction for financial malpractice. It was Mustafa Raji's administration working with FIFA, adhering to all of the rules and regulations laid down by FIFA, all the conditions laid down by FIFA. Mustafa did that transparently. That's how Liberia got out of that cloud, that dark cloud. And today, Liberia is getting a lot of support from FIFA because of the transparency of Mustafa Raji. That's why he's excelling in CAF, and that's why I endorsed him. And for somebody to have a vendetta against him and cannot come out as a man to face Mustafa Raji and using the Student Unification Party, these folks that we all know, the children only engage in political activities, to be going to the LFA office, to vandalize the office and reading LACC. But I'm a little bit disappointed too with the LACC though, because LFA is not governmental. And if somebody wrote the LACC that government of Liberia gave LFA money for its headquarters, I thought LACC should have done its due diligence to call the Minister of Youth and Sports. Councillor Kehleboe Gongloe is there. He would have responded to them. He would have checked the records. The financial people, the controller, all of them are there. They would have checked the records and would have advised the LACC that government Liberia did not give LFA any money for its headquarters. And that matter would have just died a natural death. So I even reached this far, it just tells me that probably somebody dropped the ball at the LACC. Because this is not an issue that you take anybody waste anybody time with. The Minister of Finance I never raised issue with LFA. Now the Minister of Youth and Sports. So if somebody come and say, oh, Mustafa was given money by the government of Liberia for his headquarters, the source is right there, Minister of Youth and Sports, or our budget that is online, you know? So that's the situation on Timothy. I don't want to set the record straight.
But it is information I'm also getting is that Mr. Mustafa Raji, the opponent, I don't know, Kehleboe Gongloe. I also heard that you have any information that he's also part of this scheme to discredit him?
Not that I know of. I not heard his name in anything, but I know because look, I serve the youth and student community. I am well connected. Just before Mr. Wayman, before the Sioux children went to LFA office, Mr. Wayman Smith was in meeting with them, the chairman, the secretary general, and somebody walked on them. And, you know, so the person I know behind everything happened to Mustafa Raji with the Sioux, Wayman Smith, I will call him name because the chat room we are in, he even upset today when I posted I was coming on this show. He is there supporting Soup, whatever Soup is doing against Mustafa. But when I'm trying to support Mustafa and provide a fact, he's upset, posting in the chat room, why am I not defending CDC, but I'm defending Mustafa? How is that your business? You are posting everything for Soup in the chat room. I've endorsed Mustafa. And whatever I can do to support Mustafa, I will do. And this is one of those days that I can support Mustafa because I was Minister of Youth and Sports. The government of Liberia did not give Mustafa LFA or dime for its headquarters. The money that LFA used for its headquarters came from FIFA, the FIFA for All program. In fact, President Weah and I were at the ceremony when that office was dedicated. And both my speech and the president, we praised FIFA for providing money for the first time for Liberia to have a headquarters, for LFA to have a headquarters. The videos are there. People can go there. If the government of Liberia had given money at the time, we would have said it. But no, we did not. Because the government did not get money. The government did not. It was strictly FIFA funded project. So I don't understand these guys, bro. Quite frankly.
Have you heard from Mr. Raji? Have you have any response from him already?
Oh yeah, I spoke to Mustafa Raji yesterday. I spoke to him today. Today you were at LSCC office, he went there today because they invited him there, and he went there and he met with them and they had a discussion and he left because the LSCC did not have any evidence to show to the LFA of the accusation against the LFA because the guy don't have the evidence to say government of Liberia give LFA money for his headquarters. They can't produce any document to that effect. They cannot because it doesn't exist. It just does not exist. Plain and simple. It doesn't exist.
But is Mr. Smith supporting? Who are contesting against Mr. Raji right now?
I have no idea. I don't think the LFA electoral process have opened. I know there are rumors when I was in Liberia recently that Mr. Guar was a contestant, but I did not hear him make any comment to that effect, any statement. And I was in Liberia when LFA conducted his their assembly. So I don't know of anybody, and other than the rumor, like I said, I've not heard Mr. Guar was say anything about contesting. It was just rumor people were talking about. So I don't know who contesting against Mustafa Raji, quite frankly. But I know Wilmer Smith is bitterly against Mustafa, and that's why he's doing everything. He's not man enough to come forward. He's using surrogates. So let me call him out once and for all. Let him get out of the shadows.
Wow.
And I'm a big boy. He can take me on he wants. I don't have a problem with that. Because he is the one spreading everything in the chat room I'm in with him about soup. He just all over the place and coming after me. Why am I coming on the show to defend Mustafa? I'm not defending the government I served for 6 years. What that got to do with what I'm doing? Mustafa Raji is a friend. Besides that, I served as Minister of Youth and work with for 6 years. I know what he did for our government. I also know the role he played in the development of football in Liberia. We can see a rating. And like I said to one of the journalists when I'm in Liberia, don't take my word for it. Take the former LFA presidents, Edwin Melvin Snow, Musa Belete, who all were president of LFA, and they said Mustafa Raji is the best president of our time. Those were people who were LFA president before. If they can praise Mustafa at that level, then I'm our Minister of Youth and Sport for 6 years. We see all the development Mustafa brought to Liberia, and that's why I'm supporting re-elections. And Wilmer Smith wants to contest against Mustafa. Let him put his heart in the race. And he will get whooped again the same way he was defeated when he ran to defend Unsi. He couldn't defend Unsi. They will defeat him again. Let him get in the race. It's just plain and simple. Stop using the soup students to be going there doing all kinds of things, embarrassing them because he's supplying them false and misleading information. Come up as a man and face Mustafa. Don't throw the rock and hide your hand. Be a man.
Mr. Wilson, I mean, I'm glad you're here, but can you help us? Many people do not understand the relationship when talk about LFA and the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Can you help us to unpack the relationship between the LFA, Youth and Sports, FIFA, and who owns the national team, who runs the national team, and what role the Ministry of Youth and Sports plays in the affairs of the national team and everything? Just help us to understand a little bit why you're here.
Thank you very much. The LFA is the entity responsible to implement government policy on football activities. Just like the Basketball Federation, the Athletic Federation, all the federations are kind of autonomous. They are not under the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Yeah.
But we work together. They are the entity. LFA is the entity responsible to implement government of Liberia policy on football.
Okay.
Now, FIFA have frowned on government involvement with federation. Back in the days, many years ago, government used to intervene for we FIFA suspend a lot of federation. Today, that is less happening. It's not happening again, not for a long time, because LFA is independent, it's autonomous. It's not a government entity. LFA is financed by FIFA. Everything LFA does are FIFA funding. LFA reports to FIFA. When it comes to the national team is owned by the government of Liberia. The government of Liberia is responsible to finance and support the national teams. The LFA is the manager of the national team. That's what LFA is. LFA only manages the national team on behalf of the government. That is why every time Lone Star is playing, LFA makes a request for the support of the Lone Star through the Ministry of Youth and Sports. And the Ministry of Youth and Sports send a request to Finance Ministry to get support based on what has been appropriated in the budget. There was a budget line we had when I was minister. We called it other national teams. It's just one line with a box you put it at time be 1 million, it will be to now 1.5 million or what have you. That budget line covers, excuse me, all of the national team, not your LFA. So if the Athletic Federation traveling, we go to that line to support them. If the amputees are traveling, we go to that line to support them. The Deaf Association, we go to that line to support them. Lone Star traveling, both male and female, we go to that line to support them. So the government is the financier of the national team. Now, if the government decides one day, to say, look, we want to manage our own team, they have a right to get it from LFA. So the relationship between LFA and the Ministry of Youth and Sport are twofold. One, the LFA implements government policy on football activities. And the LFA is the manager of the national team. The government is the financier of the national team, not the LFA.
So FIFA has no dealing with the government, the ministry.
No, they don't have no direct dealing with us. They deal with LFA. If we interact with FIFA out of courtesy, because we are the government entity overseeing all sporting activity. So we have that relationship too with FIFA, but FIFA does not deal with us directly. They deal with the federation, LFA. Even during the problem we had with the football fee, when I was giving press conferences, I was giving update, I was getting all that information from the Liberia Football Association. Because CAF and FIFA would deal with the federation and not the government directly.
So but then CAF and FIFA, they have jurisdiction over our soccer field.
Well, is that which soccer field you're talking about?
Like the Anthony Tubman Stadium, the SKD Sports Complex.
Yes, because no, not SKD Sports Complex. We signed an agreement with LFA. We signed an agreement with LFA for the Anthony Tubman Stadium and for the practice field at the SKD Sports Complex. And FIFA has a rule that in order for the FA to manage those stadiums, we have to sign 25 years agreement because they are putting that money into it. So you see the Anthony Tubman Stadium is being reconditioned of FIFA money because of that agreement. So every other 25 years, we renew it. The same with the LFA practice pitch. Before FIFA could put money into that to work on that pitch under the FIFA Forward program, I had to sign a 25-year agreement with LFA. It's a requirement. The same thing for the Dory Whitton Sports Stadium, the same thing for the stadium in McGibby. Everywhere LFA is doing mini pitches, that's just FIFA requirement. It has to be done in order for FIFA to put that money there because they don't want government interference. So you have to sign a contract with the Liberia Football Association in order for FIFA to put the money in there.
Okay, Hamed Fofana, welcome.
Thank you.
So Wilson, but then when they say our national team players that are playing abroad, whenever Lone Star is playing, I see people calling on, but Mr. Wilson, what happened when the players coming? Then so I'm confused there. If FIFA, they are on FIFA, but then how come you now have to be the one sending ticket for them to come play for the
Because I just told you the government, the national team belongs to the government. The government, the financier of the national team. So when Lone Star is playing, we are responsible for everything. The tickets, their per diem, their travel, their feeding, their practice, preparation, everything is the government responsibility.
So the refs that come for the game, the match officials that come with that you guys
all in the budget, we pay for them, we pay for we pay that what you call indemnities. We get in a hotel, we get an indemnity, what you call per diem, all of that. It's a responsibility. It's part of it. Then we'll play our home game. Yes, we cover that.
Okay. Let me welcome Ahmed. You want to minister is here. You got any question for him? Well, before I go to the next question.
We just want to welcome the minister. You know, it's been a long time, and I just got on the show, so I was hoping that maybe I'll follow up, and then perhaps in the process I'll ask some questions.
Okay.
See him. And
go ahead. Oh, Mr. Wilson.
My man, nice to meet you, man. Nice to see you, bro.
Yeah, thank you, my brother.
The minister, you brought a chairman on the show straight. Is the chairman?
Oh, that my Ben Sanvee?
Yeah, you brought him on the show, but you see, maybe you should always come. Yeah, maybe you always come.
Yeah, Sanvee, what's up, bro? Long time, man.
And I knew Stana. What can I call here?
You mean that young boy?
Exactly.
Quickly before the other guys come in. So when they come to the county meet, that's the Minister of Youth and Sports.
The county meet is a government deliverable. Minister of Youth and Sports, 100%. It's a deliverable government Liberia under the direct auspices of the Minister of Youth and Sports.
Okay, I visited the SKD complex. I think when I was there last time, you were there. You gave us a tour of that place. But there was a time that everybody was calling your name. Everybody wanted you to be fired. They were blaming you for this, for the complex and everything. So FIFA ban our fee. We were playing foreign games, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you were able to turn it around and give us FIFA to lift the ban for us. What happened? I mean, during that process, you're on a lot of pressure. So share with us what
Yeah, and the thing that many Liberians did not know is that club licensing started in 2015 on the Ellen regime. So everything that the fee was banned for should have been done from 2015 before Georgia government came to power. That was not done. It was in February I was informed from a communication that came to LFA that CAF was sending a delegation to do an inspection on the fee in March. Just about that time, COVID happened. Nothing could happen. And we were hoping that maybe after COVID, they would then come forward or no, because at the time we had no idea, no clue. Because when I took over, I did not get a turnover note. We did not have a clue of what was happening. Mustafa was new himself. He didn't know. And then they didn't wait for COVID and they put a ban, they put a ban on us because they felt that we did not meet the minimum requirement. But our process was started 2015. So I tried to get the background information first. Now, the fee was banned. It was embarrassing because Joga wasn't a football man. George Weah, football icon, president, and our fee gets banned. But people didn't understand that this thing started 2015. We just walked into it and it came in and we were affected. So we had to get to work. Got my team together. I reached out to colleagues. We started working with the Minister of Finance, Minister Pewee and his team. We all got together. I reached out to my colleagues. We're painting the fee. Some of them they came. Mary Bros sent her painters. I wanted this, bought some paint, NPA. I mean, a lot of other government colleagues. They joined forces with me. I got my team, the Ministry of Agriculture. They seconded their professional with all we bought some seeds from America to plant on the field, but man, that soil was just not good, man. If seeds from America could not even grow. That's why they fertilizer everything we use. So at the end of the day, we came up to the decision that the best solution was to do the artificial turf. And then I engaged with the Ministry of Finance. The Minister Pewee was very supportive. He and his team, they appropriated funding based on our estimate for the SKD Sports Complex. We did a turf, we renovated the entire stadium. some of the requirements. We had to get 5 toilets, 5 commodes in each bathroom. That was not a requirement then. We had to do some actual physical transformation. We have to have the room for the match officials, the anti-doping room. I mean, a whole host of new requirements. And we had to, and when our field was built in the 80s, those things were not there. I mean, bucket seats. That field was not built for bucket seats, but we had to put bucket seats there because one of the requirements. But again, like I said, it was a team effort from the government. Most of my colleagues, they rallied around me. They were supportive, and then we went there. We did what we had to do to bring the field to where we could bring it. And before we left office, the only 2 things that we did not accomplish, one was a Docker seat. Recently, the Minister of Youth and Sports, I saw a Facebook page. They got a Docker seat. I'm commending for that because I had that in my 10 over note that we needed a Docker seat, and we also needed to change the entire learning system. We did the procurement for it, everything, the material was purchased by the company, and all needed by the government of Liberia to pay the money for that. I'm recently being told that the government of Liberia has paid the money, and the company is supposed to ship the material to Liberia to come and change the analog we have there. We got to do the LED digital. So yes, it was the other teamwork. Tomalin, we work hard because it was embarrassing to see Liberia ban, but it was not. I mean, it started 2015, but nothing was done for 2015. Even after the Chinese came and promised some money, they didn't do anything, and we had to bear the consequence. We had to we had to do the heavy lifting. By the end of the day, we did it for Liberia, and thank God we are on it. We are out of it, and the minister proper coming currently with the government. The 2 items we didn't complete, I put in my 10-hour note, and I'm happy that at least they have done one, and the second one will be done, and that will be good to go.
Chairman Ben, Mr. Gilman,
Body and Soul Christopher.
you guys can weigh in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, Sidiki, right? I thought I was Sidiki.
Yeah, let me. At least I have a appreciated understanding now where the conversation going. Minister, you you came to the position of minister as a former national team player, a household name, honor of course a president who is an icon, and as such, I guess the expectation perhaps was a little different from what was expected of from Ellen. And you people did well. But one issue I saw recently, for which I want to ask you, not as a means of indicting you, but as a means of the future, how we engage it. Is there any program, policy, or approach in how we deal with former players of the national team? Because many a times we read stories about them going through very difficult period. And unfortunately, most of the people back then, unlike today, that played and sacrificed for the national team, did not create or never had any additional skills, also perhaps playing the game of soccer. And so oftentimes we see them going through some of the most embarrassing, disgraceful process. We see it from what the guy named with Public Works, and recently again we saw eventually I think this boy Kehleboe or so, but it was almost like a gesture from a minister as opposed to perhaps a program. So I mean, we care to comment in that direction on what can be done if there isn't any plan. Yeah.
So thank you very much, Ham. That was a very, very good question. Quite frankly, there is no policy around support for former national team players. But what we did and we did not finish, that we had UNESCO to support a national sports policy development. We had a consultant. The policy was developed. The policy was brought to stakeholders. It was endorsed by the stakeholders. And in our policy, I believe we did have a provision in there for former national team players. But unfortunately, I could not get the policy to a cabinet meeting at the time to get a cabinet endorsement before moving forward with it. But I believe that is a situation that needs to be addressed. Since we did not do it, but like I said, UNESCO paid for a sports policy, and it was completed. This guy, Victor Boya, was a consultant. The documents are available, and I believe I mentioned in my 10-over note. I hope that the present administration, headed by my friend Councillor Ko Bangalu, can look in that direction and see how best that sports policy can be adapted and make it a policy of the country, because that would have been the first time we would have a detailed sports policy. It was funded by UNESCO. So I hope that they can look in that direction. But it's a good observation. When our minister, what I did was everything I had to do with former national team, I got involved. And I mean, let me use the platform to thank two persons from the GFK at the time, Dr. Jerry Brown and Dr. Kamona Sia. Every time a national team player had a situation, and I called them, or even other players, I called them at GFK and said, look, this person is a former national team player, please do your best. I just told them, build a Ministry of Youth and Sports, and they were very, very cooperative. Every time a player went there, when there were problems with them getting a room, once I placed a call, Dr. Kamona, Dr. Jerry Brown, they would get on top of it, and I must just use this medium to commend them. So I did my best, but again, we need a policy, because I was doing it because I myself am a former national team player. And I come from a football background. But we need a policy. Somebody else in that ministry may not do it, But when policies are there, you are under obligation to carry out the policy. So I think we need a policy against that. To that end.
I can go. My last question.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, you can't skip this. It is a fact. You are a former team player. You understand not only you understand sports development mean as a player, then you became the policy maker. And again, I will emphasize under a president who played the game coming from the rocket fields of Gibraltar up there. What will you rate your own performance or the government performance when it came to sports development, particularly football, when you serve as minister?
Well, I would not want to do a rating, but I can say this much. The Liberian people, and I've seen it from position of honesty, the Liberian people expected more from us. Just based on what you just said, I have a football background. The president from a football background. They expected us to do more. And I must admit, we did not. We did not. And we know the problem. I'll give you an example. I played a game. I was assistant minister. I became minister. The problem with financing national team didn't start with us. It started before us. Even despite all we can say about Doe, all the praises, we can all get Samuel Doe. We play under Samuel Doe. The issue of money with national team was the same. So we had the solution to that problem. What do I mean? Look, we will not develop sports. I'm not talking about Liberia national team, I'm talking about sports in general. We cannot develop sports in Liberia from budgetary appropriation. You all know it. You see the budget every year, 700 million, 800 million. That everything not moving, and government has competing priorities. And one of the things I advocated for, and the journalists in Liberia know, and they helped me to, but I did not get the support We need to find other ways of funding our sporting program because budgetary appropriation cannot cut it. We play the game. We know the problem. And one of my own disappointment and my own failure too was we could not accommodate that because I did not get the support. At one point, I talked about sports development tax. I got a kickback. Folks say, oh, but what are they getting sin tax on alcoholic beverage and cigarette? I said, but can we look at our sin portfolio? We don't do increase taxes on the consumer. But look at that portfolio you get currently. If you're getting 25 cents from there, can you take 5 cents from there? Can we look at the road fund? Can we take 5 cents from there and put it into an extra account for sports development? So this was one area I believe we that played the game, we were there, we knew that there's a problem. Government appropriation will not cut it. But we need other ways, and there were other ideas that we had. I even shared the idea with the Senate Committee on Youth and Sports, Senator Dillon and my friend Borchard. We discussed it. And I want really several times to make the plea for sport development tax. I did not get the support. So that one area I believe we're a failure because we would have solved that problem. Find other means. The issue, let's get onto the table, let's discuss it. So you got wasting a team of youth and sport. We don't have all the ideas. Other people can come to the table for all to discuss it. I remember when a few time I was LRA ahead, newly, I shared that with her. And she bought the idea. We're working on a plan. And Brian McGill, who is the current deputy minister for youth development, he was my point person with Frida Tamba at the time, her team. But we LRA to see how big we can come up with that idea. Then when she was removed, it just became a little challenge. So yes, him, I will be honored to tell you, we could have done more. We have opportunities. Well, we just didn't. I'll be the first to say it. And, but hey, it is what it is. All we can ask, all we can do is advise the current government, and they will listen to at least try to do something, especially looking at this sport development tax. Let there be a discussion about it. We shouldn't just leave it hanging. We want to solve the problem. We have infrastructure problem. We have manpower development problem. We got to prepare our team. Look, sports is not just about buying plane ticket for the people to travel. It's about preparation. It's preparation. Samuel Dosen, Lunsa to Brazil. Lunsa went to Morocco on Samuel Doe. That preparation. We need to find a way to get money outside government appropriation to solve the problem of sports development, not just football. So that will be my response to you, Ham.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Let me, first of all, thank you. It's good seeing you. I haven't seen you in a while. I'm going to preface my question with a short, it's not going to be long, I promise. But I'm glad that you, and there's a reason why I purposely came on. The guys know I've been a little, been away from the platform for a while just because I've been busy doing other things. But I'm going to
So my baby bro, you on?
I have business brought me on. I am, and that's the reason why. That's the reason why. And let me outrightly commend you for acknowledging that more could have been done, but what wasn't accomplished. Because again, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said if there was one place. There were many other things that the WE administration is remembered for: roads, the parks, the different things that the WE administration did. We're not going to relitigate it. But if there was one place that Liberians was holding their hopes, was that sports, particularly football, would have thrived under President George Weah, just by mere fact of who he is and who he was and how he ended up becoming president of Liberia, because you can't take football away from George Weah's rise to power. But let me ask you, and heavy is the head that wears the crown, because we don't have president, we are here, but we got you here. So you headed that sector. So I'm gonna push you a little bit. You talk about the fact that money, right? We can't survive only on the national budget. I think that is a given. Governments after governments, you talk about the Doe administration. Would you say there was a lack of innovation on your part as a leader because you are accepting responsibility? Because there are several things probably could have happened that it didn't happen. Are you saying that you were not listened to? Are you saying that the proposals that you brought to the forefront were not taken seriously? And then the other thing I want to also ask about is, do you believe we maybe need to separate the Ministry of Sports from the Ministry of Youth? Do you believe we need to break those two up? Because for a very long time and very quite often, administration after administration, in fact, the Ministry of Youth and Sports is not known, quote unquote, to be Ministry of Youth and Sports. It almost become a Ministry of Football. Let's be fair. That's the only thing we talk about. Football, 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 right? Yes, there are other sports. We have basketball. My question to you is, do you believe there have to be some reforms when it comes to this ministry? Because I think there's so much more that could happen when it comes to youth development, when it comes to sports, when it comes to the Lone Star and all of that. Do you think that there needs to be a separation of those two? Because quite often, I think youth empowerment, youth development get the shorter end of the stick when it comes to the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So, two questions. One, was there a lack of innovation, and was your ideas not welcome in cabinet? That's why it wasn't acted upon. And two, do you think we have to break up the Ministry of Youth and Sports to have maybe a commission on youth development or a ministry on youth development and then the Ministry of Sports? Do you think that's what we need to do? What are your thoughts on that?
But thank you very much for your question. Let me start with the latter one. I don't believe we need to break up the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Okay.
And to say that the youth get a shorter portion, that is inaccurate. It's the other way around.
Okay.
We have more money. The youth and sports, even when I was assistant minister, the youth and sports receive more support for youth and TVET than sports only come from government, period. But the development of the international community, under my administration, we got tremendous support from the EU, from the World Bank, from the French, from the Swedish government, the United Nations, you name it. Youth empowerment has the biggest support in the international community. So it's the other way around. The football side, the sports side get a shorter side because it only dependent on government to support.
Okay.
So I want to make that clarity. And I don't believe that we need to separate the Ministry of Youth and Sports or separate the youth on the Ministry of from the sports. I don't believe in that.
Okay.
Because I've seen no data that suggests anything, because youth get all the support because the international community does support the youth department. Even when I was leaving office, I left a total of 5 million contract that I signed with the UN Peace Building Office. 3 million for the outreach youth program, 2 million was directly for other youth activities. So youth does have a lot of money from the international community. So now, on your first question, I would say this much. And my colleagues at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, be it Minister Azedo, Emmanuel Johnson, Malaya Sharif, Andy Kwame, Nugent Ford, Femeta, I will tell you we're not short of ideas. That was not a limitation on our part.
Okay.
BA on the youth side, BA on the sports side. What I did say was we just did not get the kind of a support we needed to get. But we're not short of ideas. I can tell you that. And these people that I call, they can back me up on that. We're not short of ideas.
Okay. So let me follow up quickly, and then we'll let Mr. Nangwe or Mr. Gaiman come in. You are not short on ideas. So I talked about the issue of innovation. Clearly, we're transitioning into the world of no more free lunch. Right? We see the cuts from USAID. I mean, because I can assure you, if you probably were, I want to believe that USAID was one of your major supporters when you were Minister of Youth and Sports from the international component. Am I correct?
No, not really.
Oh, not really. Okay. Well, so let me just bring them up, right? I just bring up.
We did have a program that user was supporting.
Okay.
Excuse me, but they had a service provider. We were just part of. Yeah, we're not implementing per se. Okay. There was another NGO implementing it, but we're partnering with them because how to do a youth.
Okay.
But not directly.
Okay, so the reason I use them, because obviously we know what has happened in the US, with the USAID being cut and literally being disbanded and all of that, right? So that poses even more challenge. So when I talk about, let me just bring this back to an idea. I like the fact that you also say you're willing to provide advice and counsel to your successor, and you're available pretty much, right? And it's something that I don't think we do very well in Liberia. Once one government passed, all our former officials, we act like they don't know anything, or we are there now to do our own thing. We see it even at the level of the presidency. So it's not only the minister. But my question is, when I talk about innovation, right? You said you guys didn't lack ideas, you didn't lack innovations, but you just did not get the support. What about innovation from the perspective of going out there to seek funding? Using because one of the things that I think we shortchanged the country on a lot was the celebrity of George Weah, of former President George Weah, right? Former President George Weah is a walking hero when it comes to soccer, when it comes to sports, when it comes to his global status as an icon for sports. What about using that celebrity? What about going to him and trying to? Did you guys go to him, talk to him about leveraging his contacts? I give you an example, Rwanda, right? Rwanda, if you look at, I think which are the teams you guys visit Rwanda on the jersey? I think it's Arsenal or one of these teams. I'm talking about, those are the kind of innovations I'm talking about, right? What stopped you guys from putting together a plan to say, Mr. President, we need your endorsement to do this? Invite, hey, whoever, Ronaldo, Ito, whatever, let them come. I'm just thinking out loud rather than just you guys saying, well, we had all the ideas, but we did not get the support from government. You already acknowledged that the press was small, so there was a need for you guys to be able to go out there to be able to source those funding. Why did you guys not use George Weah's celebrity? Was he not forthcoming? Did he not give you the opportunity to use his celebrity to be able to seek funding and support for the sector? Why was that not done? Because I always felt that was a deficit on the part of the CDC administration, not using the celebrity of George Weah to attract the kind of support that we needed to attract. For God in heaven's sake, George Weah played for AC Milan. He played for PSG. Why we couldn't see Visit Liberia on PSG jersey? Why PSG did not build a sports academy? Why AC Milan did not build a sports academy? All of these things, I don't want to go long-winded, but I hope you understand where I'm coming from. What stopped you guys from engaging the former president, the then president at that time, to use a celebrity to be able to pull in the resources that was needed to be able to support the sector?
Thank you for the question. Unfortunately, I will plead a fifth on this.
I told you I was coming for you, right?
Yeah, answer your question.
Okay, I agree. No problem. I would not push further. I think I know the answer. I would not push further. Yeah. So that way you go ahead. Let the best. I won't put you in trouble. Tomalin, I'm gonna leave. You go ahead. Let the best. I won't put you in trouble.
Hey, Mr. Minister, my dear brother, it is good to see you.
How are you doing?
President, we
I'm
are
doing
watching
well, man. Yes, sir.
Facebook.
Good to see you. So, I see you going political here, refusing to. I think that's a very pointed question. You would have helped a lot if you had answered that, but I respect your silence on that. But let me go back to this Mustafa fellow. You have endorsed him for a third term. And that's a record term for anyone in office, I think, at the LFA. I'm not sure. But let me understand what is responsible for the variance in this construction of the headquarters. It has been reported that the headquarters might cost about $1,819,000, but he keeps insisting on 1.5 million. Thus creating a difference of $319,000. What do you understand about this, and why is there this difference?
Look, I will say this much. I have not followed all of this headquarters saga. But one thing I do know is the funding given to LFA for the construction of that headquarters came from FIFA. And up to now, I have not heard FIFA raising any issue with the FA regarding the funding for the headquarters. So I draw my cue from FIFA.
Mhm.
FIFA does periodic audit of all the federations. If there were anything fishy with respect to the funding given to that headquarters, FIFA would have said something by now. That's how I respond to it. Because LFA is 100% funded by FIFA. Every money gets come from FIFA. And FIFA has a system in place. FIFA approved all of the things that each federation in the world do with the funding they gave them. So if there were anything problem with the headquarters funding, FIFA would have said something by now.
Okay.
And that's not only youth exposed. We can't get involved with our activity because we don't get them money to that level. We didn't get them money for the headquarters. We don't get them money for national team. And every money we get elected for national team, they accounted for it. When it comes to the headquarters, I will advise you draw your cue for FIFA. If FIFA had any problem, they would have voiced it by now.
Okay. I respect that answer. Let me before I pass on. Let me go back to where Chairman Ben, that left off. We have a lot of international players, and I know you are the ministry. You have not shy in calling for help from any and everywhere. Do these players that we market throughout the world, do they have any obligation to the national team? I mean, most of them they had their beginnings from the Liberia through the support of the country, the government to sports and all of that. Do they have any obligation to helping to chip in?
No, they don't.
Okay.
Just how you and I work for money, we get paid. That's how they work for money too. That's their daily living. That's
Right.
the job they do to play professional football and get paid for it. So, and coming to play for the national team is a huge sacrifice because if you're unfortunate and you can't play for your country and God forbid something happen to you, get injured, you know how it looks in our country now. So they are making huge sacrifice by coming to play, but there is no other obligation that they have.
All right. Thank you, Chief Ben. Chairman
Yeah,
Ben, thank you. What Chief, thank you.
Mr. Wilson, let me come in, right? For the fact that you play the game and you and the former president play the game, and sometimes you go in social gathering, people are talking, they will say, "Oh," and like you explain some things tonight. Some people just understanding what the difference and its challenges that you face as minister, uh, considering what you had to work with. But some people will say, so like I see some comments, people already comment on the post. There, some people are being critical about you. They feel that you didn't do nothing. So you don't do nothing, nothing. You had a football icon who was president, and also you are a minister. You play the game too. But my thing, I know you're the president. You are personal friends. But were there a time that during the 6 years that you guys maybe were sitting down? So let me just go talk to my man about what kind of legacy, what can we leave? because tomorrow posterity will judge us. They will say both of us came from the football world, and I was the minister of youth and sports, and he was the president. So we got to leave something that people will say, well, when they were there, they were left there, you know. But whatever time that during your conversation, sitting down with him, where you say, I mean, nobody's there now, no president, but we say, my man, Georgie, or my man, well, I mean, what can we do? We need to leave a legacy, something we're gonna leave here for the people, because tomorrow, I don't care what happened, people will still judge us. And that you can pinpoint and say, look, during our time, even though we don't have the support, we don't have any support from anywhere, but this is what we left there that people can build on. Can you tell us what happened?
My discussion with the president was privileged. And I don't intend to divulge it publicly.
Yeah, but for concerning the issue of soccer, Lone Star, I mean, also what the fraternity came from. It was privilege.
Well. At times, I mean, I will be honest on this part. I don't remember discussing legacy. The time I had to sit with the president and we hold some casual discussion, what have you. It was not about legacy discussion per se, but there was discussion on other things vis-a-vis the national team, young people, what have you. But people who may be posting on making comment that I did not do anything, maybe they didn't follow our tenure at the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Liberian people look at soccer, the national team. That's the only thing, because that's why people keep referring to the Ministry of Youth and Sports as Ministry of Football. But on our administration, we say we are the Ministry of Youth and Sports with an S, not just football. We may not have excelled in football per se, but we did excel in athletics, and they might appreciate that. We won more medals with the Athletic Federation under the Garguah administration than any other administration. In fact, we went to the Tokyo Olympic and made history. For the first time, Liberia reached the 200 finals. For the first time. We also went to the World Games the next year, 2022, in Eugene, Oregon. Liberia went to the final of the World Games again. Our history we made. Never went to a final. And you talking about Olympics? You know how many countries go to the Olympics? You go to the World Games, and for small Liberia to reach the final in both prestigious competition, you must give us some credit too. We accomplished something. It may not be in football, because other people play other sports. We do athletics, and we excel in athletics. And under the Garguah regime, for the first time, every major federation participated in every competition. But they will not see these things. We made headway. We may not make headway in football because that's the number one sport, and I get it. But to be dismissive of other discipline that we may headway in, come on now. You know, how about the youth side? There were a lot of gains we made, a lot of development in TVET that we carry out. So the ministry is not the Ministry of Football or Ministry of Sports. It's a youth and sports. So when you're judging the performance of the ministry, you judge its performance in totality, not in parts. That's why we say, to those who may not know what we did, but we did a lot.
Okay, my last question. The next guys for the last question to around. Okay, so do you think it would be fair? It's a fair assessment if the public, in the court of public opinion, the public say that under the Zoga administration of sports and an issue of soccer and so forth, mainly, but where did you guys from? That you guys you guys didn't do anything much to you think it's a fair assessment for that, because I know you pleaded the fifth, but people, and that's what they always say. So you think it will be a fair assessment when people say that? And then my last question today is that, can you tell us the role you played during your tenure as minister? There were several former national players that passed, that were sick, that they were ill. Can you pinpoint to some of the issues, some of them that you helped in maybe the illness or the burial stuff? Can you tell us any of these things? What role you played?
Okay, so let me start with the first question. Look, when LFA does not operate in isolation, all of the programs LFA implemented, all the football development program, those were the vision of the government of Liberia. You see all the mini pitches that were built, those were vision from the government. And LFA helped to accomplish some of them because all the counties did not have a stadium. The football development program that LFA initiated, those were vision of the government. Like I told you, LFA is the entity that will implement government policy on football. What I will say is a fair assessment is that given our background, we could have done more, and we did not. And if I would take criticism from my own people for that, I will. Because posterity will judge all of us. I want to be very honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We could have done more, and we did not. But we did do some. Now, on the issue of the former national team players, I will say this much to you. Every former national team player that passed during our regime, the government of Liberia played a major role in their final home goal. Unless the family told us that they were financially equipped to do everything. Other than that, the government of Liberia was fully involved. In fact, the first move that the government made was for a friend who I knew from the Fire Zone area. Then he played for Barrow, I think Junior Pro. He played for Lone Star. He had passed in Malaysia 4 months. And his family was struggling to get money to bring the body from Malaysia. His sister came to Liberia trying to see the president. And there were so many stories given to her by people who said they were close to the president, that the president did not want to see her. And she came to the Ministry of Youth and Sports with that story. So I asked her, do you know the president? She said no. So then why would the president don't want to see you? I said, the player in question play for the president team, junior professional, and he played for the national team. Why would the president hear that he's dead, his body in Malaysia for 4 years, and he wouldn't want to see? I said, well, that information is not true. And I told her, what is it that you need? She said, we need 4,000 to get the body from Malaysia to bring to Liberia. I said, consider it done. I called my budget people. We talked. I did almost everything before I even reached out to the president to inform him about this player. And that's how his body was flown from Malaysia, brought to Liberia, and was buried in Firestone, Smyrna. And many other national team players that passed. Like I said, I sent many of them, both national team and just for division players that I knew were not well. We sent to JFK to get treatment. So we send them, we're getting blind, we send them for treatment. And those are that government of Liberia play a major role. And I was telling the Minister 12 because every time, you know what, man? The president appoints you, not everything gotta go to him. You gotta make your own move. So a lot of these things I did it before I even told him. And Minister 12 was very, very supportive. Every time I told him something about national team player that I passed, we jump on it together. He and his team, our team, we work together to get them the fitting burial. You know, those that were sick, what we could do, we did. You know, so that much I can say, St. Tomalin George.
Okay, Minister.
Yes,
Thank,
sir.
thank you so far. I think it was important that you came, and I think you have provided insight. And of course, you cannot change people mind on how they think, but you can only but say your truth. So I just wanted to pivot a little bit to the other component of your ministry, which is the youth component that you mentioned. You mentioned that you left around 5 million, suggesting that perhaps you might have had more budget over the last 6 years in that direction. And then also, I remember during the early stages of the government, there was a fundraising or some project launch to raise money for what we call the street case or Zoko or something like that. Some 1 point or some amount of money in terms of million. Liberia today continue to face the challenge of one, not just youth employment, but the capacity in terms of having the skill set and all of those things. You do have TVET, but we do not know what the end game. The people go perhaps learn some skill over a period of time. We don't know where they are absorbed, how they absorb those skills. But yet today, up to today, with all of the supports that you are proud to mention, one of the greatest threats to our country from security point of view, from economic point of view, is the youth component. A very destitute population and stuff like that. So what was the program? What was it? What happened to that fundraising that when it came to that launch on the money for some Zogo rehabilitation thing in addition to the many other supports you just mentioned, the youth component? Can you throw light here?
Yeah, thank you so much. So when it comes to the youth program, I can tell you we got tremendous support. If you can recall, President Weah first visit he made to France, and many people thought he had gone to France to hang out with his friend Emmanuel Macron. As a result of that visit, the French government sent the first amount of 5 million. Mercy Corps was the implementing agency along with Ministry of Youth and Sports, and we empower 11,800 young people in Montserrat, Margibi, and Grand Bassam. The program called LEAP that was implemented by then. That same trip also brought an additional $10 million to TVET. The trip president we have made brought additional $10 million in TVET. And if you go to the Ministry of Youth and Sports today, there's a construction that is going on the side of the Ministry of Youth and Sports. It's a mini hotel. That hotel is the result of some of the money from the French government and European Union under the UNIDO project. So that was a project that is going on now that we started from some of the funding that we got. Now, let's go specifically to the outrage youth that you were talking about. But Ham, you gone?
No, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. So when we launched that fundraiser, I think we raised a little over 25,000, I believe. And at the time, we wrote almost all the big companies you could think of, big, small in Liberia. But we did not get the desired results. However, During the campaign, you will recall that the issue of Kush was being broadly tied to the CDC. But little do people know that we have launched the Outrage You program. That program started, I think, around June, July of 2020, 2024, I believe. No, 2023. It started around there. And we're in the street. Government of Liberia have provided $500,000 in addition for the Outrage You program. We work with the one UN system that, in fact, the president established a joint steering committee that were co-chaired by myself and the United Nations resident coordinator at the time, Madam Christine. We had a joint steering committee, and we had the Outrage You. We recruited over 400 of them, put them in rehabilitation center in Monrovia, Grand Bassa, Magibi, and Bombing. Those are the 4 counties we started with. But the recruitment was voluntary. So many of them, they came on a different impression, they will leave. However, we managed to rehabilitate, I think, 122 of them. They went through detoxification. They went through rehabilitation, provided skill training as well in TVET. And just as the transition, we were supposed to graduate them, but we couldn't do it. The graduation was in February, but we left office in January. However, in my 10-hour note, we provided all the information to the incoming government that we have started the Outrage You program, and we have rehabilitated 122 youth. And all they needed to do now was to carry on that graduation, which the government did sometime in April, I believe. It was that Outrage You program I'm telling you about that before leaving office, I signed a contract with the UN Peace Building Office for $3 million because we are agreed with the UN system that the sharing, the funding ratio will be 1-to-1. Government of Liberia put up $3 million, the UN put up $3 million. Well, $1 million per year, that was the agreement. So I signed $3 million contract before I left office. And that money was available. It was approved, it was available, and this government should have continued to get the Outrage You off the street. Up to now, why that has not happened, I don't know. But that contract was signed on him, and we rehabilitated 122 Outrage You from the Outrage You program initiated by the George Weah government. And it was this government only graduated them. And they were supposed to continue the program based on what I signed, because the government was supposed to come up with matching funds. What the government came up with, I don't know, but I'm not sure anything has been done in that regard, because I've not heard that any recruitment being done. Maybe it's being done somewhere, I don't know. So now some of the money we left there for the Outrage You program, $3 million, that we signed a contract with the UNP building office. That fund was available until we left office.
Okay, my last question, and I'm going to put you right on the spot on this one. But first of all, let me say thank you so far for your service. I think you did the best you could with the conditions that were available to you. It is no secret now that your friend and former boss will be a candidate in 2029. With all of that you experience, all of that you know, and everything that you see unfolding in the country now, will you support him? Will you be part of the process? Will you give him the support? Do you think he can be a better president?
So why you want to bring political Benin in it or not?
Oh, but you political you're political man, before you go out, very active.
I plead the fifth again.
Okay.
Fifth times fifth. We know how many that is, but let me ask you this.
Magic hand. I got you.
So when you came out earlier, right? I think it was Chairman
Uh-huh.
Ben. It was Chairman Ben who was asking you about the level of support to football and other sports, and I think you said the youth especially get a lot of support. But it sounded like you struggle getting support because you're saying the money started to come in just when you were already leaving.
No. Let me correct you. There was an array youth program.
All right.
Array youth program. Government funded the initial launch for
Okay.
$500,000. 500,000. Government supported that.
Okay.
Now, when we're leaving now, I signed. In fact, I signed a contract in October,
Okay.
but November came and we're defeated. But the contract was signed, the funding approved, so we're already there. That was for the Ayuri program. For other youth program, I got funding from the EU. In fact, TVET, Prof. Sony and I, the Minister of Education, we negotiated a Minister to sign an agreement for 28 million to cover TVET in the rest of the counties. Because we had TVET in, I believe, 6 counties, we need to cover additional 9 counties, and that money was available through the European Union. We even went to the 9 counties and identified all of the high school that we have constructed a TVET center adjacent to. Like in Ganta, it was a JWPSC. In Sanikole, we were supposed to construct a TVET center bigger than NVDC. The Sanikole Vocational Training Center. It's part of that money. I don't know what has been done since we left, but that funding that Prof. Sonia I left there. Because we had 2 sectors of TVET, the formal sector and the informal sector. Prof. Sonia, Education Minister, had the formal sector. And the youth and sport, the informal sector, with the largest sector. Yes, we have all the monies left there for this administration on youth and sport to run with. We left a lot of things for them to do. Funding were available. For the I left 5 million on the youth side. TVET, we left 28 million. Besides the other projects that are already ongoing with UNIDO, the French government, there are other projects already going for the 10 million and other. There were a lot of funding we left for the Ministry of Youth and Sports. I mean, left the funding. Let me be clear. All the funds that came to the Ministry of Youth and Sports did not come to us directly. The partners are implementers who were implementing the projects. Right. So I say I left money there. It doesn't mean I left money from the Bangalu. No, I did not. Let me be clear. But their contract with SAR.
You didn't want to talk politics.
No. Because Liberian people say, oh, the money left the money in youth and sport account. It is not there. We didn't control no money. The partner controlled that money. We just implement. That's all we did. That's what it is.
Thank you for the clarification. But let me ask you, I worked briefly with the National Readjustment Commission, in the heydays of the war during the Dr. Sawyer time with Deacon Color. One of the problems we had, and we had a lot of support, just like you're saying, of course, the donors will always give to implement. The government will be the monitor and, supervise all this. The problem we had was our ability to kind of capture the success of the program in the community. The follow-up, we train these kids, we get them, 2 kids to go home with, and we couldn't really effectively follow through to see, where you are now 6 months later, 5 months later, 9 months later. Do you have a sense of the TVET in the community when you train these kids and you get them the skills? Is there any way to monitor their success in, normal mainstream society?
I would say no. And I agree with you. That's one of the shortcomings. I think the only program we had, a Youth Opportunity Project, YOP, is a World Bank funded project that we implemented 100%. In fact, when we took what the Ministry of Youth and Sports, that project was at 29%, and we're able to take it up to 100%. The Youth Opportunity Project, there was a business component to it that we were following up at certain time after the project ended, I think for 6 months, but thereafter they will not follow. And I agree with you. That's one of the shortcomings we have as a society. When we put money into these projects and we empower people, give them money, give them tools, let the start of small businesses, that continuity to follow to make sure how they are doing, how are they faring, that is lacking, So I hope that's something we can look at as a society in the future.
Thank you. I'll pass it on.
Thank you. Minister, I want to talk to you about first thing first. Interesting, you say you're pleading the fifth on a potential run by President Weah. But let me ask you if you plead
Anything that has a seat to do with CTC, then he got lockjaw.
Hopefully you don't plead the fifth on it. If he does, let's leapfrog and he does.
Am I ready to play the fifth?
No, it's your right. I agree with that.
Maybe they'll be running to who knows.
So let's leapfrog and say if he wins, say he wins another term, right? And he calls you to serve again. Will you accept?
No, I'm done with politics.
You're done. Okay. So let me ask you a question then. So since you're done with politics, what will you say Diesel Wilson's legacy is? As Minister of Youth and Sports, former member of the national soccer team. I mean, you've had your fair share of service to country. What would you say your legacy is? What would you think? What would you want Liberians to remember you for? And then if you were to do this all over again, what would you do different than you did for the last 6 years?
Well, I think one of the things Liberian I just don't want to take the credit by myself because I work with a team.
Sure.
One of the things I think they will remember us for, and it's like below the radar, people don't follow, is the fact that under our regime, for the first time in the history of the three statutory youth organizations, FLA, Linksway, and the Monroe UN Parliament, under our regime, the three entities survived, went to two different congresses without any bloodshed or property destruction. In fact, when we took over, the three entities were in chaos, confusion. We were able to amicably resolve those issues, and we were able to work with them that they went to their various parliaments, congresses, without any property destruction, and there was no demonstration from either one of them for the last 6 years. That is huge in our country. Second thing is, we work tirelessly for the young people. Every project that was given the Ministry of Youth and Sports by our international partners, development partners, we implemented those projects with 100% success that benefited thousands of young people. Our development partner, the records are there. We can talk about it. And I think lastly, on the sports side, look at the fact that we're able to reach the finals in the Tokyo Olympics and the World Games on our watch. We're able to at least recondition the SKD Sports Complex to an acceptable position where even our neighboring countries are using our field to play their foreign game. Is a plus. And I just hope that we can maintain the facility so that we don't get back to where we are. But look, like President Weah usually say in a cabinet meeting at the time, you can do your best, you can do more than your best. And I thought on the situation we did our best. We could not do more than our best. The rest of it, let society judge us as to what we didn't do. I'll leave it like that.
So if you were to do anything different, you didn't answer that.
Oh yeah. So I think there are a lot of things I will have done differently. Maybe my approach to achieving certain things would have been done differently from my perspective. Because there were things that transpired, and maybe my approach may not have, been the right way. And maybe I would have done some of them differently. Push harder. Don't give up because people are not listening to me. People not supportive. It's one of the key factors. And I think I would do that differently.
Okay.
Or look at it differently and push harder than just giving up because people not supporting. Because the way our society works in government, there are certain people in the government who they go to people. But maybe going around them to other people who may not be on the radar, but they are also equally powerful, would have been the approach to be used.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And my last question is a very short one. You said if there is a second CDC term, you would not serve. You're done with politics. So let me flip that question. If CDC had won re-election in 2023, would you have stayed on, or would you have?
Well, the decision for me to stay on would have been left with President Weah, not me.
What if he had asked you?
I don't know.
You don't know, and I think that's fair. I think that's fair. And let me tell you why I respect you for saying that. Because you and this is my last, and then Tomalin can take it from here. Let me tell you why I respect you. I'm sorry, Robert. Let me tell you why I respect you for saying that, because I think people take for granted the bureaucracies that come with the Liberian government. And like you rightly said, when you have a situation where, you headed a very critical sector of the government, very, very critical sector. I consider your sector the most consequential when it comes to national security in our country. I think people take it for joke. This issue of young people, the issue of youth, the issue of this. And it's a testament. I gave you a lot of hard time during your 6 years, because I remember one of the people when we were on Spoon, we gave you hard time when it came to the football field. And I remember when you came back to report that the field had passed, we all celebrated you and say, you know what, Zizo, we gave you hard time. We want to tell you thank you and we want to salute you. But I think, and from my standpoint, I think you did your best. I think you did a heck of a job, because let me tell you why I say that. Yes, there were a lot of issues during that 6 year, but like you talked about FLA, you talk about Linsu, you talk about all of these different entities. I also think the fact that we never really saw a lot of agitation when it came to young people. Yes, they were talking about jobs. Yes, they were talking about, different things. But I think you held your fort, and I think you should have been supported. I've always said, and I will state that this is going to be my last thing here. I've always said, and I've always stated on the record, that I'm waiting for the Liberian government that will come to power, and that will give its the due a share of the national pie to the critical sectors: youth and sports, education, healthcare. By the way, youth and sports encompasses all of those sectors anyway, right? I'm waiting to see that Liberian government that will come, where the Minister of Youth and Sports will be probably one of the most powerful ministers in the country, because he or she heads a consequential sector. So, my friend, I want to tell you thank you, and like I said, I came purposely because I wanted to have this conversation with you. I want to thank you for your service. It seems like you've hung up your cleats, you've hung up your boots, you've hung up your coat suit. I remember when I went to your office, you had your little coat hanger there. I think you hung it up. But I want to thank you for your service, and I don't think it's something we do a lot in our country. I want to thank you for your service to our country. I want to say to you, I think you did what you did what you had to do. You the hands that were dealt to you, you dealt with it the way you had to do it. And just thank you. And I wish you well in the next phase of your life. But I also want to just admonish you to not just, as you hang up your cleat, but keep your lines open for advice.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah. My lines are open, man. I'm not going to close my line.
Yeah, people like you are valuable. You can be able to talk to the next minister, and I hope what her name Cole is listening. I hope he leveraged and he tapped into your network and your knowledge to be able to make him a better minister. Those are my initial
So,
thoughts. Thank you
but
very
yeah,
much.
Ko is aware. He came to my house. We had a very nice discussion. I told him my doors were always open, my line open any day, anytime. He
Good.
wants to reach out to me to get a little advice. I'm always willing to share my advice. When they call cheap, you don't want to pay for consultancy. I'm just joking.
Mr.
Go ahead, Raul.
Mr. Minister, thank you for coming on. I think it's been a very great conversation so far. Like Ben, I haven't seen the chairman in it, so I like.
Your phone is bringing up, Robert.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me? Okay, good. I want to make sure you hear me. But I love Ben's question, and I like the fact that he was tough on some of the questions. And I know you pleaded the fifth on some of the questions. You don't want to speak on it. But I want to start. I want to start by saying this, and I think that you are not being political yet. I think you're being honest. You've taken responsibility. Uh, you admitted that you guys could have done more, and I concur. I agree. I think you guys could have done a lot more. But I also want to join the voice to give you credit because I don't think a lot of people understood how we're faced with. I visited your numerous times. We had conversations about your vision and your ideas. I mentioned before, and we all know that when you look at the national budget, we know that the youth and sports, uh, the youth and sports, we don't really invest in the sector that investment. But there was a moment when people called for your resignation. Some even called for your dismissal, and that moment was a very challenging moment. I watched you kind of navigate your way in explanation and trying to give. And really, at the time, pissed me off was the fact that the very people who were calling for your resignation and or dismissal were responsible for the mess that you inherited. And I would be remiss if I did not mention some of what happened. So we put things in perspective. The government under your watch and the youth and sports, in less than 15 months, were able to generate and spend roughly a little over $1 million to get SKD where since SKD have gotten back to where it is, the government have not worried about any suspension other than what you mentioned in your everyone knows. They flow so forth and so on. We saw what happened during the county where one of the was formed because it got dark, and the ministry have also changed its policy with regards to extra time whenever county leagues have been played, and or playing two games in one day. But I want to highlight this so Liberians understand why I would commend you, and I will continuously commend you. Between 2016 to 2019, we had a fierce debate with some of my friends that are in government today, including my dear friend and brother George Lobo. I always like to mention George Lobo because he's close to me. We have conversation off the record, and he's the son of the president. Between 2016 to 2019, the United Party government squandered $18 million, Mr. Namwe. 18 with the M on what they term as renovation to the SKD. $18 million. And when this government took over in 2018, they were met with a resistance from COP. But this thing had been lingering for a long time before Zoga Wilson and them took over. But the Liberian people, especially the politicians and the opposition, made it seem like it was Zoga Wilson who created the mess and they had nothing to do with it. When they were given $18 million up to this date, we don't know what happened to the $18 million. We don't know the level of renovation that was done because Zoga Wilson and his team essentially had to basically change every single thing at SKD. We saw that firsthand. So we want to be clear. Zoga, I also think you should give yourself credit because I have a report for you. It was under your watch and under the WE administration, again, more could have been done, that we started the various grassroots development programs, Mr. Nambwe and Tomalin George, where you had the under 15, you had the under 17, you had the under 20, and you had the national team of Liberia. And at the time, it was led by my good friend, Coach Ensu Keita. Today, men of the youth who form part of that under that team have relocated to Europe. I want to report this. Oscar Dollar, who plays Xavier Plot in the Czech Republic, have qualified for the UEFA Champions League. Divan Ter, who was an integral part of that under 17 team, he's just, I think, 19 years old, had a $3.4 million transfer to Slavia Prague, and he will also be participating in the Champions League next year. Samson Doe, who now plays for Victoria Plazel, will also be participating in the UEFA Champions League from the second play by finishing second place. Mohamed Kamara, I won't mention that because he wasn't part of that. But Nestor Swan, he signed a contract with FC Sheriff, and he will also be participating in the Europa League by winning the Mendiofa Cup winners. Mike Pape with FC Kopar in Slovenia. David Twe with FC Dynamo Brest will also be participating in the UEFA Conference League. Abu Kamara, Shak Sese, who won the championship in Botswana. And last but not the least, Steven Simmons, who won the championship in Mozambique, will also be participating in the CAF Champions League. I mention these things because I think it's important. When we invest in areas that are important, we see the results. And it may seem little, but these are the superstars and the future of Lone Star. Because when Lone Star does not win, guess what happened? The Ministry of Youth and Sport bears the weight. The government bears the weight because, like you said, the government is the chief sponsor of the Lone Star. They own the Lone Star. And so I want to publicly say, Zoga Wilson, I went to Monrovia. I flew out there, and you gave me a specific tour of the SKD when it was done. And I want to say to you and your team, you did a phenomenal job. And if anyone asks you, what is your legacy? I think that you should point to that. With the support of the government, you should point to that. Because you did not need international support. That $1.something million came from the government. And it was done because of your resilience and your never give up attitude. So you should give yourself credit for that. But I want you to clarify, when you talk about support, Mr. Wilson, I want you to be specific because I don't want folks to misconstrue your words. Are you saying that you did not get support from the president of Liberia at the time? Or are you saying that the bureaucracy of the government and the budget and the fact that the government had competing priorities, the Ministry of Youth and Sport did not get the necessary support it needed to do more than what you did?
I was both.
So you would say both. You did not get the support from the president and the bureaucracy of the government.
Yeah.
Can you respond, please?
Well, the thing is, man, we all agree on competing priorities, but there are things that at times are important we need to do, and we need that support from the higher up. And if that support is not coming, there's not much you can do. And when you're in government is like a little society. You can't criticize from within. So you be a team and work with everybody. And so that was a tough part. There were things we needed to do, But like I said, for example, on the sport development tax, that's something I'm passionate about. I want to succeed on that. I want us to succeed on that because that would have changed the trajectory of sports in Liberia. But again, I did not get the support, not just from the power that be, but from some of my own colleagues. That support was not there. Those who gave the support. It's just a matter of sitting down to have a discussion. Create an opportunity. Let's share ideas. And if you can convince me that what I'm saying will not work, convince me on the table. Remember on the negotiating table. Let's discuss it. But just to have that conversation, it was a challenge. All the publicity I did went to the press, make noise about it. It fell on deaf ear. And I thought it get frustrating, You know something is doable. And those who are there to help are not even willing to hear you out. It frustrates you. At the end of the day, we take all the blames. And they're just one instance. But there are a lot of other things that, I don't want to go into depth, but look, for me, I just have to be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything because I feel hurt. I believe we have opportunities that did not require money from our government, but just that other kind of a support to lead the way. It was not forthcoming.
Yeah, but
And it's painful. It's painful. It's painful.
A little bit. We all know that the president of Liberia is one of the powerful figures in the entire world. If the president wants, the president gets it done. And you can plead the fifth if you want, but we're on the record. Outside of having a conversation with the former president specifically about things you get done, a lot of frustration have come from the fact that President we have been a Lone Star captain and a former Lone Star player did not give the team the needed support. I wasn't in these conversations, but I saw when the team went to play international matches, international honor. I'm not sure it was done through the support of government invitation that sent invitation to. I'm sorry. Are you specifically saying that, given how powerful the presidency is in Liberia, that had you gotten the support outside of the national budget, calling me, and whoever calling me, please stop calling me. Please stop. Are you saying that had you got support from the president of Liberia, you would have been able to get a lot of things done, and you did not get that support from the president? I'm not talking about the budget, but the president specifically.
So, you guys, the president is the head of the government.
Right.
I'm saying I did not get support that I needed from the government. However, we want to interpret it, fine. And we are getting the kind of a support that we needed. We would have made a difference. I don't know how old are you, but some of you are old enough to have seen the late Samuel Doe. You saw how Samuel Doe treated the national team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And today his memory lives on. Samuel Doe was not giving out millions of dollars. But every time the Lone Star went on our field to play, Lone Star performed. I will leave it at that. You draw your own conclusion.
Thank you. Last question. I understand that the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission has opened up an investigation. You briefly spoke to that, but again, I want to just ask this question. I think you mentioned it on the post on social media. Did the LFA get any financial support from the government to the Ministry of Youth?
I think I addressed that question and I repeat myself. The LFA did not get a dime from the government library for its headquarters.
So you think this is
The only money government library gave LFA for a national team, the Lone Star, both male and female.
so do you think do you think this is a concerted effort to tarnish the reputation and the hard work of
Of course, yeah. We must be behind everything. I've been calling his name all day today. I will keep calling his name. And he backed down.
oh wow.
Yeah, like he's still like a man. And
Who
face
is
his
Wilman
friend.
Smith? Who is Wilman Smith? Who is that?
He's a former deputy to Legis. He's the former vice president, for
Wilman
LFA.
Smith? Wilman Smith?
Yeah.
Why he won't be president of LFA?
Well, I don't know where you want to be, but he's a mastermind behind having the Mustafa Raji. I'm just calling your name. Let him sound like a man and face this guy.
He's a
Should be hiding behind soup children and soup military. Don't you know the political activity without soup going to football business?
Right.
The man go clandestine meeting with the children and sit there to be disturbing for a reason.
The one concept like president of the elephant band.
He wants Cassell. But I mean, anyway, Mr. Nambe, I think that you right. But Mr. Nambe, I beg you, borrow 30 seconds, please. I want to ask Mr. Minister one question quick. You talk about Samuel Doe. I also want to ask, were you on the team? Were you on the WIA 11? Is that
no?
You were not WIA 11. Okay, because I remember
I retired by then.
You are retired. Okay, we almost went to the World Cup. With
that was our team in 1980.
Well, okay, so no, but then under President Taylor, we were one game away from the World Cup. The George.
No, I was assistant minister by then, or maybe I come to Liberia. No, assistant minister by then, maybe.
Oh, 2001, Ben. That was when we lost.
I was in America by then. 2001 in America. I left 2000.
That's the Ghana game. We only needed a draw to make the World Cup.
Yeah, no, I know.
Oh, yeah.
There's a reason I'm asking because what you say, because obviously they were successful. They almost got to the World Cup. I think they went to the African Cup of Nations also. I think 96, they went to the African Cup of Nations, and then they went to the African Cup of Nations again, the George Weah 11. Well, you said
President twice, 96 and 2001, I think.
2001, right? Will you, from your perspective as someone who played the game, will you also say Taylor was very supportive of the team during that period? That's what provided a boost to the team? Because I mean, I've seen videos. I mean, I was in Liberia to a certain extent, and I saw him attend the games. I saw him give the players stipends. I saw him visit them on camp. I saw him do all of those things. Would you say that kind of support provides boosts for the team to want to do extremely well?
Well, I would say this. Answer the question this day. Taylor, it was a combination of Charles Taylor
and the
support and the team, and also the support of George Weah.
That's what I was going to say.
I gotta be clear on that one.
Yeah.
The same money issue that we're having today, and we have on George Weah, we have on Samuel Doe.
Yeah.
That same money issue on Taylor too.
Well, on Taylor, exactly.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
I think one improvement Taylor did was to have Taylor administration, from the Ministry of Youth and Sports, by Taylor administration, was to come up with the idea, because we were having challenges at the time with players.
You were assistant minister to Taylor administration,
yes,
right?
I was assistant minister, yes.
Okay.
We were having problem with ticket refund.
Yeah.
So when the player will come, they be asking for 5,000, 6,000 ticket refund.
Damn.
But they're not giving you the ticket stub to even see what is that receipt. So we came up with a plan that, look, we'll get you 5,000 across the board. You buy your ticket, your pada, all inside. What you do it up to that. I think that had worked. And like I said, because I remember President Weah took the team to Benjamin Aricos.
Yeah.
To camp for 30 days. And we're playing in Ghana. And we're supposed to take a boat from Ghana, from Aricos to Ghana. We're playing Algeria. I remember that game.
Mm-hmm.
And I remained back. I came on the last flight out of Montreal. I think I was last Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
And the government of Liberia did not give a dime. And when I got to Benjamin, and I told George, he was the upset. He said, "You got 1 1 year. I knew Liberia will go because I finished spending all the money, put the team in camp for 1 month, just for the government to transport the team by bus from Ivory Coast to Ghana. They can't do it again.
What year was this?
I think it was 98, another year, 97. I believe.
That was right after Taylor's election. Wow.
You know, and then George was upset. And then that night, we got in Benjaviga little villa. So he sent Sylvester to call me. And we came and he said, my man, let's go somewhere. You know, because he knew I'm feeling happy. And we got in the car, we went somewhere. I think there was this, I thought it was Citibank. There was a bank president or secretary we went to. And when, you know, we sat in the woman's living room and her husband was there, you know, we greeted the brother, you know, drink water, anything we drank. We were there for like maybe 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes at most. And then he said, my man, let's go. But while we were leaving, there was a box he told Sylvester to get on the side of the woman living room. And I was not thinking, what was that? Put the box in the car and we went back to Benjavi. When we got to Benjavi, then he drove me to my little villa where I was, you know, the apartment I was in Benjavi, I remember. And then he said, Jacob, Minister B, take that box where you ain't going. So I said, what's in the box? And he laughed. He said, my man, the bus coming tomorrow morning to Kehleboe to Ghana so that the money never to pay the bus. He just laughed at me, got in a car and went by, you know. And that was a surreal movement, you know. I mean, the honest truth is when it came to his support for the national team as a professional football player, that is not in dispute. You remember I was one of the guys who was his validator. When our colleagues were attacking 2005, 2017, I was a validator. I was taking them on from all angles because I knew the story, I knew the facts, you know. So yeah, he did that. So Taylor's time, it was a combination of George Weah and Charles Taylor. I will tell you this one.
Okay. Yeah. So the reason I brought that up is to say it is absolutely important for presidential support. In addition to that, is also very, very important that the combination of both, because it's like you say, Samuel Doe, Taylor, you know, I don't know what really happened during Ellen. I'm not sure what, you know, but yeah. So that's why I brought that up. Okay.
Give me 10 seconds.
Oh yeah, my man. You know, when the president into something, everybody will fall in love.
Everybody in it, yeah, that's true.
That's what Doe used to do. Doe into Israel, everybody will fall in love.
Yeah, the presidency is powerful. So can I ask you this question though? Why you think, before Mr. Number come in, why you think, because there's no dispute. Even when I speak to Louis Creighton, he very in Atlanta with me. And by the way, Louis Creighton does not support the president. That's affording out there. So he don't support the president. But he does not dispute the president financial support as player. Now, you work as Minister of Youth and Sports, and you just narrated the president unwavering support as player. Why do you think it was more difficult? Why do you think it was easier for the president to use his own personal resources to support Lone Star as a player, and more difficult to get similar support or even more as president, though? Why?
That's the $1 million question. My second answer.
That's interesting. That's
a question I can't understand, because at this point you are in a position where you're not using your own money. All you got to do as president, make some phone calls. Maybe I'm saying it as easily as is implemented, but again, I believe that the president can get done what the president wants in Liberia, right? And so it's
any president for that matter, man.
Right. It just sounds like the president used his own personal money. It was okay. He was willing to do so. Now, as president, it seemed like it was more difficult to get Lone Star support as chief pitcher. I don't understand. But Mr. Naba, go ahead.
No, Robert, and you and Ben. I mean, basically, I was going to ask almost the same thing, and I want my brother here to. I know he has his own self-imposed gaps. He's not going to cross certain boundaries. But
He's working
given
on
what
the minefield.
I know, right? But given that, and we read some of your, standing up for the president, which I think is, is noble. You guys go way back, you're very close. But you stood with this president because you believe everything that you were defending. But now that you are at a loss to explain why, when he was president, for instance, I mean, I don't remember, you're talking about the younger fellows here, because you and I go way back. I don't remember any time when we couldn't use our football pitch except under this president, if I'm not mistaken. And you were minister. So we had the president, and yet, we really fell way behind. Then when we had other presidents who did not play at all. And so are you prepared now to say that some of the allegations that were being levied against the president by some of your colleagues may have had some substance to them?
Well, you got to tell me the specific allegation. I wouldn't just respond to blanket question.
Well, I mean, there were allegations that the president was too controlling because he was spending some of the money and he wanted at times to decide who plays on the team, and that kind of thing. That he was bossy, and I mean, there were much more serious allegations. But I'm just trying to see if you can find a way to explain the variance between what you believed before you and him came into government and what you saw when you were in government, both of you, in reference to supporting the team. I mean, the support was big.
Well, I think I have spoken in so many different ways my own disposition on certain things, and I don't think I'm prepared to go beyond that point. I mean, you can draw your own.
And I respect that.
You can draw your own conclusion.
I will leave it there.
But look, George, he remain my friend. He's my friend. He'll always be my friend. And
you create a lot of headlines.
I appreciate the fact that he gave me the opportunity to serve the country for 6 years. I respect that. He's my friend. We may not agree on everything, but it is what it is. And if he decides to run again and he wins, I wish him the best. I cannot wish any president of my country to fail. Even this government, I can't wish them to fail, because to say that means that you are not a patriotic person. To always wish our country well, wish our president well, wish the best for our country. If President Weah decides to run again, the Liberian people gave him a second term to run, to be president again. I wish him well. I just hope and pray. Like I said, if I were to go back, I would do things differently. Okay. I just hope and pray that he does a lot of things differently. And I'm just being honest to a friend.
No, I respect that.
If other people want to take it differently and beat me up, that's fine. I'm a big boy. I can take the latches, but
I respect.
That's my best wish for him.
You sounded more political in retirement now than you were.
Yeah. Oh no, so I'm not gonna retire. The Basel Post need to serve in the House of the Senate, so you're not gonna.
I beg you, my man. Assistant 1 year old, I'm a small boy.
You still young. You retirement age. But y'all know, but this man, me tell you, y'all know, right? 1986. The Barrow won a champ. Oh, I say ready to score and drop. Okay, y'all know that. One of the luckiest goalkeeper Barrow at the bat. 1986. I won a championship. He saved a penalty. I watched that game that day. I won a championship. The next year, I took it from us. But so this man, he was one of the Barrow most dependable goalkeeper. Now, I mean, you for we perform. No, when it comes to who really say Barrow money games, this man. And we have our man Warpa, forget it. We'll score going. The score can afford to go on war. You know what But when they say who really say Barrow most of the time with this man, honestly, you check the record. So I watched the match. So that was our experience with him from Barrow team. But again, like you said, look, I understand where Zuka comes from. He served the country, and I know what he went through. During the time he was minister, especially during that time with that complex. People were calling for his head. They wanted him to be fired, but it wasn't him. You know how the man needed money to do it. And when I went to Liberia, I saw the bucket seat we have today. And because of Zoga and them, they were bucket seat at SKD today, and the capacity of the stadium was even reduced because of that bucket seat. At one point, when 30,000, but I think because of that bucket seat, it reduced to 25,000. I think the capacity of the stadium. But
around 22,000 some.
okay, you see, but again, but we'll get. I mean, I'll tell you this, Zogalo. I mean, I think we have exhausted the time with you.
Yeah, I think we have because I want to ask me another question.
Because once somebody's happening in the fifth, you know, you gotta.
I will call you. I will call you so we can talk.
Okay, thank you.
No problem, man. You get my number?
Yeah, I got your number. I got your number. Yeah. And say you change
my USA number.
Did you change your USA number? Is it the same old one?
No.
Anyway,
the 215-499-4522.
No, don't put your number on that.
Oh, my man, I forget our live.
I can send a man. I'll send a man your number.
Yeah.
Don't tell the children how old we are. This is nobody does know. Everybody go on WhatsApp or wherever and get a number. Don't even worry about it.
I got a number.
But Ben, you get your code, your MPP code.
Yeah, no, I got a number. I got a number, Jesus.
Don't worry about code.
What kind of code is man?
Our youth, my core youth. No, but Jesus, on a serious note, I think it was good for you to come on. I really enjoyed the conversation. I enjoy your frankness. I think, and I've always said, only a friend will say to a friend, do this, you know, and stuff like that. So, but I respect you a whole lot. I really do think there were a lot of missed opportunities, like you said. I really think that there was so much potential, and I know of a particular situation, a particular story, but we'll talk that one behind the back. Because I was sitting there with you, and I remember how you got fought. I remember the pushback, you know, based on a particular recommendation you made. And so that's when I got to realize, I was like, oh no, this guy is, you know, he's going through a lot here, you know. So, but no, it was fascinating discussion with you, my big brother. Fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, so Minister, thank you for coming on. I know the last time we met, was it last year? I went to your beautiful house in Mo River. The people in here, the guys in here.
She's gonna call you, yeah. So I expect Junior gonna call you. She's a strong sport enthusiast.
Please don't talk to that woman, please.
The girl she's supposed to, man.
Mr. Wesley, don't pick up that woman call. I will call you.
We'll be having Jota will be here with us on the weekend. You'll be here.
Oh, the ITM?
Yeah, but the man, we had a long talk. You'll be here. You're talking about all
champion. Yeah.
But listen, it's great that you came on today. Thank you. Ben said thanks for your service.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And keep your options open. Keep it open.
Okay. Yeah, no problem, man.
All right.
All right, my God. Thank you so much.
Right.
And thanks to the listening public. It is what it is.
Thank you, bro.
It is what it is.
All right.
Yeah. Conrad is waiting for you. Conrad is waiting for you, trying not to whip you. So don't forget that.
Who?
Conrad.
No, man, Conrad, man.
Come on, man. You're talking so
all right, my guy. Take care.
All right.
Thank you. Look at that guy. He said, anyway, I want
fascinating discussion. I thought it was important, and like the reason why I say, like Robert himself said, I think Gizo he did catch a lot of slack when he was minister, taking into consideration the fact of what he had to deal with. You know, there was added pressure. On them on him because of the sector in which he held. He was head of. But I thought it was a fascinating discussion. It's good to be back on the show. I will be back.
But Chairman, you caught something happening, yo. I want to re-echo what the people are saying. You cut your hair, you grow more hair, and then it looked like your beard. You trying to grow your beard, but you kind of got it a little smooth a little bit. What's going on?
It's just the way I feel.
That money from all the money you're making, or what?
Yeah, it's just the way I feel.
The government still paying your rent?
No, yeah, well, you know, I'm looking forward to going back home soon. and take it from there. But I do want to say something. I think before we wrap the show is I posted today my support, which is something I've always supported.
I read a post. I supported Liberia.
For Liberia, the seat at the UN. I think it's a good thing.
Liberia get our seat.
I think it's a good thing for the country, and we wish the country well. We hope that everybody goes and vote for Liberia. I think it will be a good thing for Liberia. I think the other factor will be how we leverage it. I hope we're putting our plans and our actions in place to be able to leverage the seat, because there's a lot that you can gain from that seat. I can tell you, but people who are students of diplomacy will tell you. I tell people all the time, there's a particular story when Kenya was on that. When Kenya was a member of was a non-permanent member. You remember? I think during COVID, Biden. I think it was right around COVID or Trump, either Trump or Biden, one of them. They weren't meeting nobody, no so, but there was some serious vote that needed to happen at the United Nations Security Council. And America needed Kenya's vote, and I remember the Kenyan president got a full-fledged state visit to Washington, got a lot of benefits. Like I said, there's so many things. So I hope, my prayer is that I hope the government has put a plan, even without winning it yet. I hope they have a plan in place to how to leverage it. They can't win it and then we start running around like we know what we're going to be doing. They have to put a plan in place, how we can leverage it, how we can get bilateral assistance, scholarships for student exchanges. There's a lot that comes, and we're going to hold that seat for 2 years. There's a lot that we can gain for it from the country, so I think it's important. My other thought has to do with I send thoughts and prayers to the president of Liberia. I'm glad that he's safe. I did not understand the magnitude of that thing until I was watching the video a few minutes ago. Seeing the pictures, I don't understand if people think this is this. Many people think this is a joke. The smoke could have harmed the president in that plane. He was in a closed area. The time frame. I also want to send a huge shout out to the EPS. I understand they were able to get him out at the moment. This is the president of the republic. We may disagree with him. He's our president. We're happy that that the worst, because it could have been worse.
And the VP had nothing to do with it. I want you to add up, man.
But who said the VP has something to do with it? Who said that? Did somebody say the VP has something to do with it? Really?
Yeah.
Are people saying that?
Yes. But I want to.
Ben, for me.
Sorry, Ben. Go ahead. I hope you didn't lose.
But I'm shocked that people are even saying that.
It's a joke.
I do want to say. But my last thought on it will be, I think some heads needs to roll.
Exactly. That's my point, Ben.
And the president. This is on the president now. And by now, I think the managing director of the RI should have resigned. Even with the president, even firing him. And if he doesn't resign right now, president should fire him tomorrow morning. And it's not only because guess what? You can't blame it on potholes. There should be routine checks on the runway.
Every day.
Checks every single day. These things we take for granted. Listen, I'm going to be very clear. This is a disgrace. We could have lost the president of Liberia today. Yes. I don't understand. They think this is a joke. We could have been a nation today that would have had a president that we would have lost our president today. When a plane, the most dangerous part of aircraft flying is landing and taking off. It's not when you're flying in the middle of flying in the air. Not turbulence. It's landing and taking off. That plane could have exploded as a result of the tire, because if the tire puncture, there's probably a fire to do that. The jet fuel involved. That plane could have exploded today. So someone head needs to roll at the RIA so that people take their responsibilities very seriously. This happened too many times, and I don't know if President Bokak does not act on this one. I don't care what the excuse is. Your responsibility is to make sure that the runway is in good shape. Heck, do what you got to do. So I think head is into roll, but we tell you what
the issue about RIA management. This in a particular place. Then where it should go. Preliminary investigation suggests that incident may have been caused by the posting of our runway, specifically the presence of potholes. I mean, just a few months ago, they were before the Senate. And I think at that hearing, the Senate called for them to he said they don't have confidence in them. And to keep the President Boyka has been, how many hours that since thing happened to you? And you executive marshal and not even issue a real strong statement. But now, they should be calling for the entire management team, especially those directly involved with this, to resign. But if from now to tomorrow, by the end tomorrow, if President Boyka if nothing is done about this, then I know that they really enjoy what's happening. Because everything happening right now, hell should go.
I think you guys have been very easy. I think Ben has been very easy, right? And I will join Ben, and I think this is not political. Even if you don't agree with the president, I think we all want to make sure that the president's safety is a priority. I think it's very, very important. And like I expressed on social media, I'm really glad that the president made it out of that plane safely, because I don't want anything to happen to the President Joseph Boyka. I want to ensure that he's safe because he's the president of our country. But, heads should roll, not necessarily only when the president's life is involved. Heads should roll when people appointed in certain strategic position, or any position for that matter, have shown over and over that they don't have what it takes to do their job. This is not the first time this has happened. Maybe this is only going to make headlines because the president's private jet is involved, and we could have possibly lost the president today. But it has to roll when people have shown incompetence. This very government criticized CDC a few months ago about the incompetence of RIA. When the situation happened about the transformer going off, we asked the question, if you know all of these issues are happening, Mr. Nambe, and you're supposed to be the sophisticated one and the smart one, when you took over, did you do any due diligence? Did you do any inspection? Did you have a list of items that you say, you know what, we need to do these things, and then we need to put in place an action plan to address these things adequately? Obviously, they did not do that. It was under the watch of the administrative of the RIA that recently the RIA was leaking water. Mind you, Mr. Nambe, these guys criticized this on the CDC. It was leaking water too. So when you criticize all of these things and you take over, what do you do to avoid them from happening under your own watch? Or was it just political? Was it just political? This is the hypocrisy that I'm talking about. But this is beyond politics, because when the life of the president is involved, it's serious. But it's even more serious when the lives of foreign people coming to Liberia. It could have been me. It could have been you, Mr. Nambe, you and your kids and your whole family. The president made it out, but we probably would not have made it out. Then what would have been the story? Oh, so people died now, so we had she rose. This president is aware that there have been infights at the RIA. This is no news. Well, if it's news, then breaking news. There's not unity at RIA. The administrative leadership at RIA are in fights. They are fighting amongst themselves. It's been going on for months. The president has been briefed on this issue. I continue to ask the question behind the scene. Why has the president not acted? Why has the president not invited these guys over at the executive mansion to get their house together, or actions will be taken? The reason why this is negligence. The reason why this happened is because they are more focused on the infight than doing their due diligence. That's what's happening. But the president has failed to act. He knows what's happening for months now. The president has failed to act. But you know what? I know you got to come in, so I will end on this note. Hair should not roll when the president's life is in danger. Even though the president is the most important, it's the first family, we do not want anything to happen to the president. But we should also consider how people looked at Liberia. Kenya Airways and Peace Airline canceled their flights today. I know people that were scheduled to fly to Ghana and other places. They've missed the international flight from Ghana to the US. The government going to pay for that? No. This is an embarrassment. And these guys criticize the previous government about all of these small things. Why have they not got it together? It's going almost 2 years. But I'm glad the president is safe.
But look, I mean, so that's the problem, right? And it's up to the president now because the boy's in his court. They're talking over now. Just act now. Just act right now instead of wasting time. But let me respond to Kai Jebo. Kai, I'm having a show here with your former team manager, George Tarawera, will be at the weekend. So who we can join, let's talk. We're talking soccer and other stuff. So
I think the number wanted to say something about it, right?
Go ahead.
No, Ben. I mean, honestly, you and Robert, you said, and Tomalin too. I don't understand how long it would take and what it would take before the president. I mean, look at what happened at the MCS a day or two ago. The people were defiant, very defiant. In spite of the fact that the facts are glaring, the audit report is out. They're defiant because they know nothing's going to happen to them. This thing has happened at RI so many times. The other time, I think, or at Brussels or at Morocco, one of those, they had their wheel cut, in the bush, and somebody's going to die before something, But I join you too in thanking God that the president is okay and well. Thank God nobody got hurt. Hopefully, he's probably finally going to wake up. I want to also join Chairman Ben in wishing the country well. I can't think of anybody who would not root for Liberia to get a seat. The only question is, this government doesn't know how to get out of its own way. I mean, they're angling for this seat, and look at what they're doing to Snow. Look what they're doing to Musa Ability. This seat here is supposed to embody and symbolize peace building and security. You're supposed to be a peaceful president. You're going after your opponents in the country, and then internationally, you're going to showcase your ability to build and maintain peace. It doesn't make sense. So I don't know, but we're all hoping that they get a seat because if they do, Liberia wins. Thank you all very much for the show. Thank my brother Zilga for coming on. It's been a great show. Thanks to the audience as well. Hopefully, let's do it again tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I think it was a fascinating conversation. And like I said, I think something needs to happen. I think she gone? Okay. I think something needs to happen. I think heads needs to roll. This is serious. Like I said, that plane could have exploded. I don't understand. They take these things for joke. Do you understand the weight of an aircraft? For it to fall, for it to land, and these tires explode because of potholes, not because the tire was wear and tear, not because of wear and tear on the tire. It was because of the runway. Okay, it's another thing if the runway was smooth and there was wear and tear. Then we say, you know what? We look at the aircraft, the plane company, the people that they rented the plane from, right? But I'm telling you, this is serious. Couple of things could have happened today. The plane could have exploded. The security could not have been able to go ahead and open the doors to get the president out. The president could have suffocated on that plane from smoke. Yeah, and I'm trying to paint a picture so Liberians understand what could have happened today, right? All because of negligence, all because of people who, I don't know, because there's clearly incompetence here. Because how do you, the president is coming, there should be routine checks on that runway, right? You saw in this country when an assassination attempt on a former president, you saw the Secret Service director resign. This is not a joke. And for our people, and I mean, I know people who want to play politics about it, but at the end of the day, like Mr. Nambe said, at the end of the day, this is on the president. The president is the one running his government. He will have to determine what is at stake. And for him to be even, listen, I didn't even know this thing happened because I saw a video of the president addressing the press.
They were trying to cover it up, Ben.
But I don't understand how the president was not even angry.
It got exposed.
The moment
it got exposed when the airlines, when Kenya and Peace Airlines could not get in because they had communicated with them that the private jet was still stuck on the runway, and it would have caused some problems, even worse problems, had they attempted to fly in. So passengers started to get the information. They could not tell them why flights were delayed.
I mean, I saw the
press. They tried to cover it up.
I saw the president stand up to brief the press to talk about his trip at ECOWAS.
And they didn't mention the flag though. They didn't mention.
And I never saw. I mean, I don't know though. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know. I think this is serious. I think this is serious. Sidiki, I know you just joined. We're trying to wrap this thing up. I don't know what your thoughts on what happened today, but yeah.
I think.
Sidiki, here's my question to Sidiki. Why would the president address the press after what had happened without speaking on the issue? What does it amount to though? Why would the president just went to what he went to, what he could have possibly lost his life? Why would they put him in front of the press? He looked like he was already traumatized from what happened, without even mentioning that had happened. If passengers from Kenya Airways and Peace Airways had not been told that the flight got canceled, they were asking why. Why is the flight suddenly been canceled? We wouldn't have known what happened yet. So why would the president be put in front of the press, not mention anything that just happened? What's going on?
So psychologically, the government is in what we call the spine move at this point. The president is committed to the process of creating propaganda of everything, to the extent that even those areas that naturally would show weakness, those areas that naturally will not be of his own making, he will, as a result of the current mentality of the government and the people, he will spin as well. So what you see happening on the other talk show is not deliberate. It's an intentional approach that the government must project everything from a positive point of view, even if it is wrong. It's almost, these things happen in communist Korea and China. They gave a different picture. You remember during World War I or II, the Nazi power had created a picture that they were so strong to the extent that when the Allies were even bombing Germany, many of the generals still told the person that was not true. That is the move set of the government and the president. So even coming off the plane, something he has, technically he has no control over. Of course, there are people responsible for it. But to even admit that this is a fault in his mind is going off script. So the whole government is on script right now, even if it means the president's life will be at risk.
But Sidiki, interjection. What would have been a more powerful statement, or more powerful, call it propaganda? What would have been more powerful today than to get an announcement from the executive mansion that the entire management team has been dismissed? I don't see nothing more powerful. You want propaganda? That would have shown a president in charge. That would have shown a president with cojones. That would, that if the president, even if he wanted to address the press, walk out there angry and make it very clear. Even if you want to do it on the airport, say, I'm in 24 hours. What just happened? The country is going to hear from me, because this is not only about me. This could have been this could have been a passenger airliner landing before me.
A bigger airline.
With hundreds of passengers on it, right? What could have been a more powerful? You call it propaganda, like you say, my brother. What could have been more powerful than that?
Ben, and that is what people expect of leaders in terms of making decisions. But more than that, you are at the UN trying to secure a seat with that.
It's the number just mentioned that.
I was not sure, but as you really said, that would have been something that would have excused him from many of the things that Joseph Boakai is a person that can take action when there are lapses. He can hold people responsible. But coming out in the mind, and look, sometimes vulnerability is not weakness.
No.
Exactly. It's actually strength.
Vulnerability is not weakness. To have come up and say, look, this is unacceptable. It cannot happen. Now that it happened to even myself, I don't know ever so people here will be held responsible. Even if it means that after 2-3 days you will push them, but at least the nation will have a sense of relief that they have a leader who is able to take some action. But again, like I said, the mindset of the regime at this point, Ben, you'll be surprised. You listen, you saw the other report, you saw the deputy minister for administration justifying the giving all of those judges. It's going to slap because the government is in the mood that nothing can be wrong. Unfortunately, most often time our government get in that mood. I mean, not just the program, but most government they get in that mood. They get in a mood where they think to admit wrong, to make to advance correction, it means that it's failure on their part. That is unfortunate. The unfortunate thing. They want to defend everything.
It's mind blowing, Fidiki. It's mind blowing. I've never understood why governments do that. The same thing happened under the CDC administration when we had the rice crisis. The president actually, I expect the president to fire his commerce minister. He didn't do that. Then you got this other government, like you say.
Look at Madam Sally when those worms, caterpillars, something came from Guinea was eating the crops.
Madam Sally, yeah,
he didn't create that. It happened. It just happened. Of course, the agriculture minister whosoever may be responsible to manage it, but I've been acknowledged the wrongdoing. Donald Trump will say to you, foreigners coming in our country, killing our poor, eating our dog. He will say that to you, and as such, we'll do this. So I don't.
But there is something in governance and diplomacy, Mr. Namwe, and you are more experienced than a lot of us here, where governments tragedies sometimes become opportunities. Tragedies sometimes becomes opportunities because nobody pray for a tragedy to happen. But if a tragedy happens, it's an opportunity for you to fix something.
Especially for a president who is conflict averse, this is an opportunity for him.
It's an opportunity to say, listen, imagine how powerful of an image that in 1 hour after the president gets home, a statement from the executive mansion, even you won't fire them, suspend them pending investigation. A statement from the executive mansion saying the entire management of the Rouse International Airport, the leadership of the Rouse International Airport has been suspended. The president has set up has instructed the Attorney General of the country, and he's giving the Attorney General 48 hours to have a report on his desk, and he will make a firm decision on the fate of those government officials. Opportunities present themselves, and people don't. And like I said, I don't understand this thing about, like you said, Siddiqui, just going in this PR and defensive mode. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't do governance in itself is an experiment. You will do wrong. You will fall short. That's what governance is about. It's about fixing things. If we had everything perfect, we would not have governments. The reason governments are initiated by the people is to take care of them.
But Ben, it's not just governance. It's leadership. Companies, managers, supervisors, departments, we look for opportunities. It's not a bad thing. It becomes a bad thing when you fail to realize or recognize the opportunities and you have no vision or no plan of action to rectify. This is the reason why we have surveys. We don't persuade our ambassadors or our associates to tell them, say, hey, go and tell them we are the best managers. We said, be honest. Because based on your feedback, we see opportunities to improve. We know what we are doing right, and we know what we are not, what we need to improve on. It's not just governance. This government, however, created this whole mindset and this narrative that they were the best, that they were the most sophisticated, that they had all of the resolutions, they had all of the ideas. In fact, they called people in the Guar administration dumb. They said we are hired dumb people. They called seditious Zorros. They were unqualified. You would not expect, and I think President Guar knows this, you would not expect some of the elementary mistake that we've encountered in this government. Simple due diligence, my friend. Even if there's infight, you've got to separate the infight. We go behind closed doors and have meetings all the time. You will be shocked the kind of languages that we use behind closed doors meeting. I don't agree with this we don't agree with our bosses always. But whatever project, when we get out that door, when we go out there, we advance those ideas. And when they fail, we don't say, I told you so.
But you know what else is
We
bad
go back
about
to
this,
drawing
Robert?
board. Yeah,
You
go
know
ahead.
what else is bad? This is bad for business.
Very bad for business. That was
You know,
how.
now,
That was how I was saying.
already there are delays. Now
We
the
have a
news is going to get
repetition.
out there.
But Ben, what different in a mindset, in a mentality of that we saw the president demonstrate from when this issue of the yellow machine came about, right? And it became an outcry. As opposed to the president perhaps either being silent on it, fans, what did he say? Did he not say his friend wrote him a letter and it was a gesture? Did the president of the Republic of Liberia now go on record only because perhaps he didn't even know the details of that deal? Maybe it was just somebody who was trying to cash out on it. But because the president is part of the government, and at the point he said, look, Mr. President, you cannot bring the government down. We gave him that mindset. And the president of the Republic went on record and said, oh, it was a gesture from a friend. I'm just saying that is not different from the same mindset of coming down from an aircraft that busted that could have killed him. Perhaps today, God forbid, we'll be talking about maybe Richard Kuhn, the next president of the Republic. And then there's going to be the situation. So, yeah, it doesn't make sense, just generally, why you must defend everything, why you must think that to accept that this was a wrongdoing and it can be corrected means that the government will fail. I don't know. That mindset.
So, I want
people are saying that the government, we have to pay for the people. Oh.
They say you have to what? Oh,
that pay for the people playing.
But no, that the confusion I have right now. Who gonna pay?
But it's definitely no. The Liberian government.
No, but the plane should be insured. The plane should be insured.
The plane should be insured, but we don't know what's in the agreement. If it's your fault, right? It's like an accident, right?
No,
they got liability insurance.
No,
they get liability insurance. They get full coverage insurance.
No,
right?
That's a private. No.
I think
either way you turn this guy, it's just bad news for us.
No,
but
Ben. The Liberian people cannot pay for a plane that was sent by a friend. If they said that the taxpayer money is not responsible for this plane. So you see what happening now? If you tell us to pay for the plane, no, their friends will have to show it.
For me, let me say this: the basic rubrics of, I was doing my refresher course the other day for project management, and like you were saying, Siddiqui, the basic image of number, right, and Robert, everybody, the basic rubrics of government is a whole, it's a big project, right? That's what government is. It's a big project. Ministries are mini projects in a big project. Ministers are the project managers. The president happens to be the biggest project manager of the entire country. He's managing all these. He's the head of the PMO, the project management office. Maybe I should put it in that way, right? He's the head of the PMO. He's the manager. He's the director for all these other small project managers.
Right?
Well, that's what I do.
Yeah, you saw what he did.
Contrary to what people think I actually do. Contrary to what people think I actually do have a job and I do earn a living, right?
No, Ben, don't tell them that. The government pay your bill. Don't tell them that.
So, but the reason I say that is because even in project management, right, there's something you have a whole life cycle that you go through when you're doing a project. You guys know. You have a whole life cycle, initiation all the way to the closure of the project, right? Even when you get to the closure of the project, you do a closure memo of the project. Included in that closure memo is our lessons learned. Because there are things that come up in the project, scope creep, things that come up, things that you don't expect, right? That come up in the project that you would document as lessons learned. That when you get into your next project, more than likely some of those things, you will plan ahead for it. Say, oh, you know what? When we're doing this other project, this is what happened. We anticipate that something like this may happen. That's why you call it a risk, right? I don't, for God in heaven's sake, I don't understand how we have had problems with our airports. How did the management of the Roberts International Airport did not know that there was potholes on that runway? How is it possible? How is it possible that people go to work every single day? They are getting paid. And you come and you just say, potholes. You can't fix potholes. You can't. You think all go on airports in this country? You think when the people are doing regular maintenance of the runway, why do you think they're doing it? If you continuously run on a road, you will have potholes. So you fix it. So I don't understand how, when the president of the republic is flying in, he flew out on that strip. How did they not do an inspection of the runway to know? Did they expect that the plane would dodge the pothole?
They said no car will get. They said no car will get.
But that's why been happening, I guess.
Yeah, this is scary. This is dangerous. This is national security related. We could have, like I said, and I will keep saying it. Maybe people need to hear it. We could have lost President Boakai today and everybody else on that plane, or they could have been seriously hurt. And guess what? Then we would be sitting down today, making noise and talking about something. So I just wish. She said you were sorry for a headache today. Well, I know, and listen, sometimes the Liberia story just tired to talk. But
tell you,
I really wish we get it.
The president promised us that no car will get stuck. He didn't say no plane will get stuck. Let's get that in our brain. He said no car will get stuck.
But I mean, it just. I mean, look. It was the flight, the aircraft bringing the president is unfortunate, but just imagine how it been a bigger aircraft, probably with more things.
Or it would have fit. It would have fit.
I mean, can you imagine that thing called? I mean, it's just unimaginable. I mean, I don't even want to think about it. I just don't want to think about it, because in the first place, we don't have any effective rescue operation at the airport, fire service, ambulances, nothing. So I mean, just imagine a situation of that magnitude, brother. God forbid. And we just thank God.
But like I said, I do want to because I was reading on the news that the EPS was extremely professional. They got there, but even with them getting them in time, right? If there was an explosion, they would probably not have been able to get to the plane.
Exactly. Then they got there in time because nothing happened. You're right. If something had happened, they would never would have got there.
If that plane had exploded, they would not have been able to get to the plane to be able to get the president off the plane. That is why this thing is so serious.
Yeah,
and like I said, I don't know how I'm more angry than Joe Buckeye, but I hope he's angry tonight. I really hope he's angry tonight. Because I am more angry. I think I'm more angry than even the president. Because the president that I saw addressing the press, I swear to God, if I were only looking at the video of the president addressing the press, I would have never knew that something of that magnitude happened today.
You are definitely more angry because I don't think that, and me just knowing you, I don't think you would have addressed the press. And if you would have addressed the press, you would have been very clear with Liberians about what happened just a few minutes ago, where you could have possibly lost your life. The main question I ask him is, Nangwe, why did the president not even mention? The president had a regular press conference as if nothing had happened on the runway. Why? If it were not the Kenya Airways cancellation of passengers, there are videos circulating on social media right now of passengers being mad. People are even saying they've lost their flight from Ghana.
So you think, was the president informed then? You think
how you don't know he got stuck on the pothole?
Well, that's something.
He was on a plane, man.
Maybe
they're doing something else.
Oh man, come on! You're trying to be, come on.
Well, how can you tell the man something else, Rob? The president had just come out of the thing. The president had just come out of the plane. You know what? What president should have done? Get into the presidential lounge, right? This is what an angry president would have done. Got into that presidential lounge, summoned the management, the leadership.
But the management was there to receive and shake his hands and welcome him back.
That's the other thing. I saw people standing online, shaking the president's hand.
Did not want the media to
wow.
They were trying to.
And the fact that president even got it down to shake hands is even mind-boggling.
That's why I said I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea something had happened until I saw. Because when I saw the thing first, I said, "No, man, we're trying to breathe." Because I just saw the president shaking hand, getting out from his car, shaking hand. you know, and I was like, okay, he addressed it. But listen, guys, I hope and pray that we get it right.
Yeah.
I pray for the sake of our country that we get it right. I pray that President Boakai take some action here. They should retool his entire mindset to governing the country and to understand that you gave people a piece of job. Listen, there's no hard feelings here. There's no hard feelings. You gave somebody a piece of job, they can't do it, you remove them. You find somebody better to do the job.
But I just imagine Beku coming on a private jet and such a thing happen. I get with fire people for that.
Oh, man, forget that one.
I mean, I threw the whole conversation down.
Beku please get that kind of said we're gonna fire the whole airport.
Yeah,
apart from that, had this happened under George Weah's watch? I beg you, man. What? Incompetence would be the biggest.
Oh yeah, incompetence. The man is so incompetent that even own life is incompetent with his life. That would have been a crap from folks like Steve Johnson.
So the people who are supposed to be sophisticated now, why we are encountering all of these elements?
Really bad.
Yeah,
Really
it does
bad.
look bad, guys. It does look bad. But listen, I have to run. So
Yeah, guys,
Ben,
thank you very
why
much.
you make up your brother and friend, the minister? I know y'all spoke about pleading the fifth in everything.
yeah, I beg you, don't put me in your gossip. Don't bring me.
Why you ran away?
Don't bring me in your gossip. Yeah, don't put me. You see that why they push?
Guys.
That's why they push the man and ask the man no other extra question because by the time the man say he plead the fifth, I say okay, forget it. Yeah. But guys, it was a fascinating show, man. Thank you again.
All right, man. Good night.
All right.